afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education regular board meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Board members, as I call your name, could you please say present for the record? Trustee Perkins?
Present.
Trustee Booth?
Present.
Trustee McIntyre?
Present.
Trustee Rutherford? Trustee Luna? Trustee King?
Present.
And myself, Trustee McNeil. We have 5 present, 2 absent. I will now call upon Secretary Perkins to read the district mission statement.
District mission statement. It is the mission of the Flint School District to develop community of learners who are prepared to live, work, and contribute in an ever-changing society. The Flint Board of Education standards of practice. In order to provide outstanding leadership and better serve the Flint community schools, we, the members of the Flint Board of Education, commit to the following standards of practice. Number 1, we will be consistent in our dealings with each other, as well as students, staff, and community.
Number 2, we will model trustworthiness and honesty in our relationship with each other, with our superintendent, and with our constituents.
We will focus on a common goal of providing the best education possible for the students in the Flint community schools.
We will respect the diverse views that each of us bring to the organization, as well as the view of others that we interact with as we carry out the business of the Board of Education.
We will be open and authentic with each other, our staff, and community.
As we work to make decisions, we will focus on issues, not personalities.
Our decision will be student-centered and based on objective facts.
We will practice good listening skills to better understand our fellow Board of Education members and constituents.
Board members, in your package is I'm seeking approval for the minutes from the annual budget hearing, regular board meeting, and the special board meeting for June 2026.
So moved.
Support.
They've been properly moved and second. Are there any corrections? Any correction? Seeing none, the motion to approve the minutes from the June 2026 board meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Board members, as I call your name, would you please say yes or no? Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford? Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna? And myself, President McNeil. Did you say yes, or I just? Okay, we talked about the minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 yes, 1 NA, 1 absent. The board will now hear comments from the public. We ask that you state the reason for addressing the board and that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes on matter within order of the board and not address individual by name. The presiding officer of the board shall have the right to limit the number of persons who may address the board on the same subject. Please state your name before you begin to speak. If you would like to address the board, proceed and focus to the next. Hold on. So are you doing a comment or you like to?
I want to
Present.
give you out the update.
Okay, proceed.
I want to say good evening. I want to say thank you for, my name is Omar Sims with MGS Consulting. With me is Aaron Porter, and we're here today to give you an update. And what I want to do, we call it a bipartisan journey to securing $8.8 million. So I want you to give yourself a round of applause. Because the bipartisan support didn't happen without your leadership working together as one, the school board and the superintendent. So for that, we want to say thank you. Trustee McIntyre, she really been me about some things. And what I did, you have the handout, and we gave you a timeline of what occurred. Back in October 2025, Representative Kelly said he's going to come to Flint. He gave Aaron a stuff. He said, I want to come see Flint. November 3rd, he came here. He toured this facility, and then Trustee King kidnapped him, took him over to Northern, door rider, went by Anderson, and we went by the old Central High School. And Trustee King talked to me, Trustee McIntyre laid the foundation, but Trustee King, when he kidnapped him, Representative Kelly said, I want to do more. So from December 25 to February, Aaron and myself, we worked closely with the legislators. We tried to get buy-in from them. But one thing they kept asking, how's that board? I said, what do you mean, how's that board? I said, they're not fighting. I said, you don't hear about them in the newspaper. So again, kudos. That helped us. March 10th, we had Lansing Day. Dr. Joyce, Trustee McIntyre, and the superintendent came up there, and they met with Representative Kelly, Representative Neely, Representative Stanislaw, Speaker Matt Hall's office, his chief of staff, Senator Cherry, Senator Darren, and his staff, Senator Veronica Kleinfield, Senator Kavanaugh, her staff, and Representative Nancy Jenkins and her staff, and other legislators. What was so key about that, this board and this superintendent, you guys told a story. Did they tell a story, Aaron? They told a story on March 10th. We left a couple of officers, they said, we don't think they're gonna get the support. Well, guess what? A week later, the superintendent was called back to Lansing and he testified, and with Dr. Joyce, before the educational subcommittee. We had bipartisan support from the House side. Now, let me state the record. Representative Kelly is a Republican from Saginaw. I don't know about you guys. I didn't say he was a Democrat. This is not partisan, but a Republican from Saginaw took the lead on this. And for that, we say thank you. March 19th, Representative Neely, we called her and she said, hey, let's try to get this in the budget. Well, Aaron's like, we're going to go two paths. I said, no, Aaron, we're only going one path. Aaron said, we're going down multiple paths. And what we did with Representative Neely, she put in a request, and Representative Kelly, he put in a request in the K through 12 school aid budget. Well, March 24th, we called our own Senator Cherry, and we said, we need your support on the Senate side. April through May, we worked with the various legislators talking about Flint. May 12th, House Bill 5630 was approved by the House, Republican-led House, school aid budget. Now, the Senate didn't put it in their budget. The Senate didn't have it in their budget. Aaron was like, we need to make calls. I don't know how many calls we made, but lots of meetings. Aaron would call me at night and said, I need you to call such and such. I said, Aaron already called him. He was like, we need to do that for the superintendent. Now, people say networking don't make a difference. Well, again, May 26th to 27th is an investment. Your superintendent and Trustee Miller came to Mackinac, and guess what? They showed out again. They met with the Democratic leadership on the Senate side and the House side, Republican leadership on the Senate side and the House side, and other lawmakers asking for their support. Superintendent, a couple of times when you came up, people already said, we know what you want from Flint. Am I right or wrong? They got time. So, well, June through July, budget time. Representative Kelly's office told us, they said, we're working on this. And I said, what do you mean we're working on it? Aaron said, trust but verify. I said, well, he gave us the word. Aaron said, nope, we got to keep calling for him. Fast forward, July 3rd, the budget didn't get passed in the 1st of July. I was concerned. July 3rd, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a call. I was in my room, I left at 1:30, but 3 o'clock, I get a call and they said, we need to get over it. Fast forward, soon as we get over to the house side, a couple of representatives came to us congratulating us.
All right.
And they said, Flint is in it. But they said, when you look at the budget, it won't say Flint Community School. It'll say something else. Sent that information, 6 in the morning, House voted on it.
I was it was closer to 8. They were
Closer?
in session for 21 straight hours.
Yeah.
I was at the Capitol for close to that.
He was in it, I left for an hour and a half, and I was like, they're gonna do it at 6. But we were there because of the work that you done. So I wanna say thank you now. Let's go forward. The House and the Senate conference approved it. Our next step is, we're waiting on the governor. Today is July 14th, correct? We're waiting on the governor to sign this. The governor,
So procedurally, the bill has to be ordered, enrolled, and then presented to the governor. A bunch of procedural steps that are laid out in our constitution. The budget bill was officially presented to the governor this morning, so she now has 14 days to take action on the bill. Fully expect her to not obviously touch this piece at all. She may veto, you might be hearing rumors that she's gonna veto other parts of either the school aid budget or the general government budget, but I 100% do not expect her to touch this. So obviously we're 99% of the way there. We're just waiting on the governor's signature, but she could use all 14 days too. So just so you are aware, that's the timeline we're kind of looking at right now.
so our next step from here, all transparency, from August to September, we'll be meeting with you so we can fill out any paperwork necessary. Because come October, just like you had yesterday demolition, come October, those dollars are released, we would like to have, demolition, and we'd like to bring Representative Kelly and Representative Neely back here to formally thank them for their support. And again, I have this document for you to look at. Any questions or comments, from the board?
So the one thing about October, just to quickly add, October 1st, as you are aware, superintendent and board members, that's the start of the state's fiscal year. So the budget that was just passed applies to the upcoming fiscal year. So obviously, the dollars won't be available until at minimum October 1st.
And again, I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Representative Kelly for leading this board and for this board being unified. Any questions or comments, board members?
No, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Great job, thank you. At this time, we will move into our presentation. We begin, Yes. At this time, we will move into our presentation. We begin with presentation of the board handbook presented by our board consultant, Ms. Traci Davis, and our executive assistant to the board, Ms. Pierce. Following that, we received a new high school update from Plante, Moran. And after that presentation, Mr. Dr. Janelle Jamerson of the Flint Center of Education will present. Ms. Davis, proceed.
Good evening, President Ellis, trustees and superintendent Jones. We are happy to come back to give an update on the work we started with the board handbook. We kind of had a few glitches around date due to there not being a CAL meeting in July and August. So the first step is for us to draft something and work with the committee and then bring it back to the entire board to read. And then have conversation and then bring it back again for final approval so that the board, each member has time to dissolve information, talk about what they would like to see, and then the board has the discussion about what they would like in the handbook. So what you have today is a copy of the first round of drafts. And what should happen over the course of the next 2-3 weeks is that you read them, and at the next board meeting, which is not a Cal in August, right? Pam's in charge of dates, but at the next full board meeting, we'll have a robust discussion about those sections of the handbook. And as we continue this process, it is the pleasure of the board to try to have the handbook completed by the end of October. So it is very important that as we do this process, you read, we come back, you agree to it, and we bring the next step so that we can have that work done in a timely fashion. Any questions for us?
Board members, any questions, any concerns?
Yeah, Ms. Davis, I want to make sure I read you right. So for my colleagues, we are meeting on the 25th still, right?
For the board certification, correct, yes.
Yes, we talked about how we would strategize and presenting the current packet that we have in front of us.
Correct.
Okay.
But it's a lot.
Yeah, so I think it's important like to talk about what strategy looks like for meetings. So my colleagues, when we had the conversation, the packet that you have here is the introduction of the handbook that we started. In that handbook, if we could have that, have it read or annotated to have a discussion on the 25th, is that still possible?
Yes.
During it's possible to have it during our certification coursework, right?
It depends on how long we go.
Depending on how long we go, but it's possible for us, let's say.
Absolutely.
And so we presented this in sections. And so this first section, if there's no any questions or any significant changes, we potentially could put it up for approval or denial at that meeting.
Absolutely, and send us back to like rewrite or make additional.
Okay. And then at that same meeting, there will be another section presented for us to review again, to be reviewed, to discuss it again on the following, right?
Actually, I already built those sections already in, so I added them since we were already printing them, so.
Okay. So all of the sections that you
Yeah, there's like 5 additional sections.
in here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, yeah, so the goal is to go back to October, get this done by October. So my colleagues, we'll read them over, ask the questions, see if there's any change or additions. So when we meet for our NSBA certifications and in tandem with our school board meetings, regular ones, we can have the discussion, do some amendment changes of those things and either approve or send it back. So we can get that timeline to be asked for, right?
Yes, and additionally, as part of your work for your certification, a survey went out and NSB and I will look at that, what comes in that survey and pull some of that information. I know some of you've worked on the survey already, which is part of your 8 hours because we know it takes time to sit down and.
Hour and a half.
Yeah, it takes some time, but that's built into your 8 hours. So what happens in the schedule is, and I know we talked about variations, but there's 4 days in person. And then the other day is part of the work that you'll have to do, whether it's homework or surveys or et cetera, to count toward your hours, because that takes a lot of time out of your day.
So the homework is part of the 40 hours? Or
It depends on
is it 40 contact hours plus?
Yeah, some of the contact hours are like surveys, right? Like this, it wasn't definitely a contact hour, but you spent an hour and a half. If you actually did it to provide information about what you truly built, it should have been about an hour and a half. So we allocated that into that. So yes to you, we're gonna take some of that information. There's a question about something you would like to see from everybody. We'll just make a list, not such and such said, here's the list. Did we address that? Yes, 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 no, no, no. The ones that we haven't addressed, we'll bring back to the committee and say, is this something? And you all will have to have a very rich and robust discussion about what you believe in, because you all might not agree to something. At the end of the day, we will do the work that the board votes on and move forward.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yeah, and just to reiterate to the board, it's really, these aren't very difficult pages to get through, and just to remind you that it's something that, these are things that have been written and accumulated over the past decade or so, and so there might be some stuff that is superfluous or even obsolete. So just, feel free to cross out whatever isn't necessary, because the shorter it is, the more truncated it is, the better it is for us.
And the trustee King, the ones that I added were mostly straight from the old, like, what
Yeah.
compensation, dating.
Saw that piece, yeah.
Any further questions?
Sounds good.
Seeing no further questions? Yeah, Moran?
Question I should word, which is not the debt screen, so we can. Clicking it, All right, good evening. How are everyone doing? It's been a couple of months, and the last update we had was the middle of May. There's been some exciting opportunities. We had a wonderful groundbreaking, session. We had, I hope you had good. I mean, despite the rain, but it didn't stop.
Yeah.
When it needed to. We also had, the demolition, activities. Superintendent had a big role in that. And, as we move forward, tonight's a good milestone that we want to provide an update to the team on. And it'll be myself, Stan Tech Val here, and Dan providing that update together. Tonight we'll go through, design update. We'll talk about budget alignment, quick construction update, where we're at. And then move on to, should I get work back the commissioning agent recommendation. We'll talk about the next steps with construction documentation and, procurement matrix review, next steps. So I'll turn it over to Val.
Point back this way. No. There we go. That one.
Okay. Quick, just real quick, this is a slide I think many of you have seen multiple times. So we're at a big design development milestone. And after today, the goal would be to move through construction documentation and be back to the board with real construction bidding documents and December to the first of the following year.
So again, there are no changes to what was shown at our last meeting here. So again, you still have the sports field to the right there, main entrance, grand staircase, and the parking lot to the south, with the athletic entrance to the gym area to the north there. Floor plans, gym, classrooms, all the same. What we've been working with the team over the last month, as we were getting the pricing here for the was to work out the floor plan direction for the district admin. So we feel like we're about 90% there. There's still other tweaks that we're working with the superintendent and administration staff on finalizing the actual floor plan to the entrance area and how the lobby area is all going to work there. Also in this plan, which you'll see, actually, we have the smaller plan to the left there. We heard last time about concessions and how that was all going to work together, the crossover from the athletes, the new locker room, the field. So we're working with the district and the administration team to look at bringing that concession stand up to the main level next to the stair off to the right there, that's near the bleachers, so that way they have direct access to concessions from the outside, and also looking at it as a double function to the inside of the gym area. So we're still working with the superintendent and the administration team to see how it's going to function. Other than that, again, everything's the same. Auditorium capacity is still 400. College Commons, district administration, and the administration, the high school administration is all the same. Next slide, which is level 2. Again, we have our indoor track, our weights room, and our multi-purpose room. Again, no change there, along with our classrooms and labs and resource rooms as well. So again, this is not changed. Level 3, same thing, which is a mirror of an exact copy of level 2 for classrooms and the labs. So page. Again, same thing. The grand view from Crapo Street showing the main entrance to the right, along with the classroom spaces, with the curtain wall similar to what we have here at the Q, and the preserved tower installation that has now been cleaned out. And we're working on it. This is another view again showing the main entrance from the south parking lot. The grand stair to the left, the main entrance, along with the gym and athletics in the background, and the sports field to the right. So this is the view from the field. Again, we're working where the Jaguars head is just below that. We're looking at putting concessions. We're working with superintendent to get that all squared away functionally. And once it's good, we can provide that update. But again, here, nothing's changed. We have the press box to the right, along with the main bleachers, and the aesthetic of the field, still the same. Heritage Plaza, again, we have all 5 statues there. We made the commemorative brick pavers wider like we heard last board meeting. Again, with the murals off to the right and ticketing at the main entrance. And then this is a view of the north elevation of the gym, where we showcase all of the district's previous school logos, along with the north entry to the right. Nothing's changed. And this is the north entry, where we're looking at reinstalling the existing Gothic arch beyond the existing the new doors, the portal of the north entry, along with the stone facade at the back. So that's the back of the 2 to 3 story classroom space. The beautiful flying F there. Back way. Pleasure.
So over the last month, there's been a lot of effort between the collaboration of these 3 parties as Stantec had issued their design development documentation the end of May, and immediately following Clark's team began the estimating process. So I'll let Dan speak to a bit of their process for putting this next round of budgeting together. But on this overall budget slide, what has changed since our last meeting is the last column. So we've added the last column with our budget being in alignment.
So this time, I'll speak louder. So this time during DD, now we engaged our trade partners. So we went through, got a lot of information put together, and then we went out to the different trades like plumbers and the electricians, masons and steel people, reached out to all of the trades to help validate our numbers. So we had confidence that, okay, we know what we've got from our historical databases, and now we're using them as a resource to help look at it. It also gives them a look at it so they can kind of get an idea. So help generate excitement for the project. So that is a lot of what we did this time, and we reached out to many contractors, which has helped to validate the numbers. Now, the numbers still fluctuate a little bit here and there between different products and different things as we're working through with Stantec's team, and come up with some ideas. Hey, what about this? What if we try this instead of that? So no, that changes numbers. It doesn't change the facade of the building. It doesn't change the look. It doesn't change the purpose of everything that we're doing. But we just look at different things. So we're working through those things now as we're moving into construction documents. But at the end of the day, yeah, we are very confident with the numbers that we've got. We've worked really close with all of our local trades to help generate these numbers. So we're very confident in where we're at right now, budget. So next slide, schedule, construction update. So as Val was indicating, so the tower has now been fully abated. It's been cleaned out. We were in it last Friday with the structural engineering team to look at what that looks like and help document or to further help along with the preservation of that. It's going to be a complicated process as we open up some things. We've seen more how that building's been built. So we're out working through those details now. So right now, the design is going with that. Demo wise, we're underway. We started yesterday with the demolition at the field house, and what a great ceremony. The folks there, I learned a lot about Flint from the family of the boy. Pulling the boy is just quite a little experience. I really enjoyed that. Coming up soon, middle of August, we will be getting our bid pack 2, which is going to be foundations, footings, foundations, and then we're going to go all the site work. So all of that will be received in the middle of August. We'll be putting that out to bid with the intent the end of September, 1st of October, starting foundations in the ground. So starting with where we're taking out the field house, that's where the gym's going, that's where we're going to start. So it's some deep excavations in there that we need to get going on. So we'll be doing that and moving through that. So from now until for 2 years, the neighbors are going to ask. There's going to be noise throughout the day, different levels, and some days worse than others, but there'll be noise that will be happening for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's 2 years of a little bit discomfort for
Yes.
50 years of enjoyment and educating the scholars. So, and then come the end of October timeframe is when we will be receiving our construction documents. At that point, we'll be really into putting a lot of things together to help prepare for that final bid document. I do want to go back real quick. Once we get the bids for the construction of the footings, foundations, and site work, we'll be validating our budget numbers. Now that those numbers no longer are superficial, we got real numbers. That's what we're going to go with. So that'll help give us another checkpoint in our budget ahead of construction documents and the bidding that will happen November, December, January. And then the project will continue. And right now we plan to be done by fall of 28. There'll be some. If you look at the slide, you'll see some carryover. That carryover beyond that completion date is more or less closeout. And we're just trying to make sure we have all the documentation and we're validating the commissioning of the heating, cooling systems. That's what some of that carryover is. And the schedule doesn't impact use of the building. It doesn't impact occupancy. It's just testing that needs to happen to validate the design.
So, one of the items that you have in your, board packet is a commissioning agent, a letter of recommendation, that we had touched on. This commissioning agent, if you recall, is a third party, required resource that will cross-check and verify that systems that Dan's team puts in, mechanical and envelope, and actually the envelope is a new code requirement, so that it tests to ensure that your building envelope, the wall system, the windows and the exterior walls are functioning to the code required, energy, requirements. Additionally, the MEP commissioning, which will cross-check and make sure, like Dan mentioned, that the building systems are functioning as designed by the engineering team. So we are coming forth with a recommendation for JMK Engineering. We conducted an RFP process for interviewing and received multiple bids. And so that recommendation is back. Lastly, we will be in front of this team again, as you heard. We have bid pack 2 being issued in mid-August. That will go out for public bidding, which is the foundations and other site items that Dan mentioned. Immediately following the bid results, we'll be back to this group to propose the recommendations for those contractors, and likely a high-level update of the budget cross-check. And then from there, we will await the final construction document, which we are referring to as bid pack 3 in October, which then will result in us coming back to the board in December, January for the last of the contractors needed for the project. As far as professional services, we have a material testing consultant. That is another third party required group that is responsible for testing, things like compaction, soil compaction, concrete strength, any other major, those are the major welding of structural members. And those individuals are required, to make sure that you're getting a strong building that is built the way that, Val's team has designed it. After that, we will have likely some move management later on in the year, pending further review of the project.
You got it.
Yes.
Proceed by trustee Roll. First of all, great job. Now going back to those windows. Type of windows are those?
The windows.
Oh, great, bro. Sorry.
So the windows are curtain wall, but they do have, so it's like this, what you see, but it does have a tint to it.
Okay.
They will have a tint and shade as well.
The shade go up or down. My thought was just to see, because you definitely want kids to get the vitamin D, but you don't want them daydreaming out the window. That was my only thing about that. So if you close them, they won't get, but any way to go up to where they can just get the sunlight up, without seeing the streets and people walking, just a thought.
So the way
You
that.
can say no, I'm not problem.
The way the installation will be very similar to what we have here.
Okay, so it's gonna come down.
Down, yeah.
So that kind of defeat the purpose of getting good vitamin D for the students. So if you have it down, I don't think you get too much of a break, but I just have some concerns about that. But other than that, I'm good, but I like the numbers. Dan, of course, they didn't seem too far off. I know everything is a guesstimate, but at least it's in the ballpark. I missed the demolition, but I saw it on TV. It looked nice. Great job.
You're more than welcome to come out and.
I want to get into the.
I can't guarantee you that.
Okay, at least let me touch
Guarantee you
it.
that.
Let me
That
get a
was
picture.
one-time shot.
But no, first of all, great job. Well, what is the cutoff date daily, where the residents will know that all work will stop?
Good work, 75.
75, okay.
75, yeah. There could be some nuances of time, and we'll try to make sure we communicate that as we're moving, but it's 75.
Is that posted where they can see it, just in case?
It's not posted,
It's not.
I communicated, so when it goes out in our bid packages, work hours specifically stated in the contract, it says 75. So, and then, so if they're going beyond 5, they have to tell me first before they go beyond 5.
Okay, okay.
So, and I will, like I said, I will communicate with Kim and the administrative team. to make sure we're-
Oh, that's nice.
So, when Trustee Brunson said that they communicated, we're not just saying they communicate to us, they communicate to the community.
Correct.
And the answer to that is,
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it's being communicated through, yes.
and so there is a consistent newsletter that goes out communicating what's coming up next.
How about posting, like at the library, or the fence, but some people walk, and then, word of mouth is best, nothing like someone saying, y'all walk by and they show up the house, 7 to 5, but just that area, in particular.
I hear you.
Okay.
And I will have a sign made to put at the gate around the library, and some of that, we can do that.
Somebody go, thank you, watch.
Yeah, no, I can do that, I do.
Thanks, Dan.
I have one more thing for President. There was also some concerns, about some trees that were probably older than, there was a particular tree. And then there was some other trees. We got information back from some of the community that they had concerns that we were taking down trees. I know you and I think, Ms. Templeton went to the community. How did that go?
That went, well, we talked about it, we explained what trees have come down, why they need to come down. And then we talked about the trees that we saved, we went through the little list of what, Secretary, or President Sarah, I don't know her last name, but at the end of the day, they were fine. We moved into a more robust conversation about the demo and time and communicating that, so, yeah, at the end of the day, I felt when we walked out of it, they were pretty appreciative of it. I appreciate the person update. So,
Thank you.
Just I have one question on that campus. How many parking lots were there? I know I saw two.
there's three.
There's three. Something in the back?
That's great.
Okay.
So there's one on the backside, which is currently there, where we had the demo celebration.
Okay.
And there's one, the south one.
Oh, okay, see all three there.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. And then there's one to the along. Yeah, Franklin Street.
North, south, and west. Okay. And also, thanks for, viewing and re-looking at how the, players leave the field and go between the concession stand, because their locker room was right there next to the concession stand. That can be a little concern.
Yeah, I mean, I think we found a better solution to that actually is a double function for inside and outside.
Right. And you answered my other question. Thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee McIntyre?
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. It's nice to get these consistent, very detailed updates. And thank you for reiterating information that you have to answer over and over and over again. Appreciate it, even though you're asked multiple times. Thank you.
And no further discussion. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Janelle Jamerson?
Well, President,
Yes.
just one second. Amy, was there something that we're needed to do, or we're good? Am I missing something?
Approve, oh,
I think you have to vote to approve the commissioning agent.
Yeah, we have that in the packet, so we should be okay.
I
Okay.
believe, yes.
We're good.
Yeah.
It's in there.
Dr. Jason.
Mr. McIntyre, send your copy. Proceed. He would like to have a copy on any of the. Everybody, nice seeing you.
All right. Thank you for having me and appreciate this follow-up conversation. During our last discussion, we had a bit of a generative discussion about the opportunity at the DTM campus about expanding this critical career model that we've developed here at Brownell Homes. And so I want to walk through some of the specifics of the strategy, but really delving in deep into what the opportunity is. So give me a moment to get oriented with the technology here.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of this lag on that.
Got it. So the Flint Center proposes the acquisition of what is the currently vacant Family Resource Center on the Durant Torrey campus. So this resource center is about a 5,000 square foot facility that sits just at the rear of DTM and just north of Educare Flint. This facility has been vacant for a little bit more than 10 years, but we see a real opportunity with the right mix of partnerships which we've developed with the administration and with the board, but also funding from the legislature to transform this element of the campus. This new 7,500 square foot facility, again, we will be adding 2,500 square feet to the existing facility, would make more room on the campus for after-school programming, for family engagement, for community education, and community partnerships overall. This increases the number of spaces that are available for these programs. And as you know, DTM is one of the largest enrolled schools in the district, and there are space constraints in the building. And so this creates additional spaces. It gives families from both Educare and DTM a more connected and seamless experience on the campus. But for the district, it means more consistent participation from families, more engagement from students, and ultimately better outcomes. And when we talk about better outcomes, I understand there's a lag here.
One, I can do it.
Thank you. If you go to the next slide. Wonderful. And so when we talk about outcomes, just giving a quick highlight of the Durant-Torrey campus within the context of the broader Flint Center program structure. And so as you see, there are about 1,600 students who participate in our after-school programming across our partner network, but DTM is our largest enrolled elementary site at 207 students who are enrolled, with about 164 of them participating. What we also know from looking at our NWEA data from 2023 to 2024 is that the more that students participate in after-school programming, the better they do on district assessments. And so on the screen here, the purple line represents students who are participating in after-school programs. The gray line represents students who are not. And as you see, students who don't participate in after-school programs actually start ahead of students who do. But as the year goes on, students who stay in after-school programs end up not just catching up with their peers who did not participate, they end up exceeding their development on math and reading by the end of the school year. And so this opportunity around expanding this campus and creating more seats for after-school programs is much bigger than a facility acquisition. It's about creating more space for the things that we know matter for kids and families. We could go to the next slide. And so delving into the campus, if you look at this campus when I was growing up, where Educare Flint is would have been the soccer field. So I went to Lawndale and I was on the Blue Dragons soccer team, and everybody practiced down here on the soccer field. And during the water crisis, this board made the phenomenal decision to partner with the GISD and the Community Foundation to develop a purpose-built early childhood center. And so 220 students between the ages of 6 weeks and 5 years old go to school every day at Educare Flint, and that calendar is aligned with the community schools. You all have also approved the new playgrounds initiative, and so brand new playgrounds will be built on this campus, but there was real intentionality between the school teams, that school-based advisory, and the teams at Educare of creating these playgrounds in a way that connects this campus and something really seamless for families. You also have Easter Seals on the campus as well, who provides really specialized services. And we're proposing this new community center. Again, the facility is there, but this would be an adaptive reuse project. For the Flint Center, this is a really unique opportunity because of our 6 initiatives, 5 of them converge right here on this campus. The Flint Early Childhood Collaborative through Educare Flint, the Network for School Excellence, with DTM being one of our key schools in the Network for School Excellence. Our parent collaborative is based in both schools with parent ambassadors, as well as our after-school and community education initiatives. And so really being able to demonstrate what it looks like when these initiatives are aligned, linked, and stacked is one of the major opportunities we see as an organization. If you go to the next slide, please. So there was a lot of conversation during our initial discussion about operations and how do we ensure that if this facility is sold to the Flint Center, that the benefit remains centered on Flint Community Schools and students attending Flint Community Schools. We've been working together now for a few years, and there are a number of agreements that govern the way that we work together, particularly at DTM. The first is the Memorandum of Understanding that this board approved back in 2023 that governs how we work together in community education and after school. We also have the Network for School Excellence grant and operations plans that we support with the Mott Foundation and the American Institutes for Research in supporting the implementation. We also have the Flint Early Childhood Collaborative Partnership Agreement that talks about how we partner between the Educare Flint facility and DTM. And then we also have the 21st Century Community Learning Centers, the Memorandum of Understanding that specifically names how we leverage federal funds at DTM. And so all of those things really work together to describe how we work together. And we're not proposing a new program structure. We're proposing a new facility that allows for us to continue our existing program structure, which is named under these different agreements. The Community Education Agreement requires that we co-lead the district's community education initiative strategy through shared governance. That means that there are no decisions that the Flint Center is able to make in isolation related to program operations without collaboration with the district, and that's in the Community Education MOU. The 21st Century MOU says that we are providing services to Flint Community Schools in name-specific sites, DTM being one, by implementing our school time programming for students at DTM. That's in the 21st Century MOU. And the Educare Partnership Agreement, it specifies that our work is to support the creation of a pipeline of students to FCS. And so, again, very specific on the focus on community school students. And then we also have a model through the facilities operation plan for the Cube. As part of our co-design process, we developed an operations plan that was informed by community on how we work together between school, between community organizations, and between neighborhoods to work together. And we want to develop something very similar through our co-design process on this facility. We can go to the next slide. And final slide here, I provided this slide during our initial conversation, but this is a budget for the facility. As you see, the renovation of the existing 5,000 square feet is about $2.4 million. There'll be about another 1.3 million added to that to add the second floor, which will add about 2,500 square feet to the facility. And then there'll be just under about $500,000 in site work that will go to enhance playgrounds and to connect the campus more intentionally. Our timeline is flexible. Our hard end date is September 2028. That's when our funding, which is currently being administered by the Department of Treasury, is required to be expended. But we do have a sample timeline here that we would shift out a month to ensure that that we're acquiring the property at the right time and then actually having enough time for community co-design, where we'll really get into the specifics of what the facility will look like and all of those aspects very similar to what we did here at Brownell Homes. So if we can go to the next slide. I believe this was my last one, so I can take any questions from the board. But thank you again for this opportunity to discuss this
Thank
project.
you very much, board members. Is there any?
Would you explain about your parenting process?
So the Parent Collaborative is a part of the Flint Center's core strategy, where we're focusing on parents as experts, equal partners, first and forever teachers. And so at the school level, every community school director is engaging a group of parent ambassadors. And those ambassadors at the school level are working to identify problems that are shared across parents at schools, but also within their school and neighborhood themselves, and working to develop solutions for those. An example of this is parent ambassadors at Educare Flint did a survey, and about 40% of parents said that they had concerns about not having enough food to make it to the end of the month. And parents said, we need a food pantry at our school. They designed it and developed it with support from the community school director. That's happening at the school level. At the community level, we know that there are Flint parents in many schools that we're not in. And so we can't have a community school director with parent ambassadors at every school. So we're reaching out and mapping the entire ecosystem and recruiting parents, including those who have children in the juvenile justice system, those in private schools, those in parochial schools, to ensure that we have community-wide parent voice in what matters for kids. And so we work at the community level through things like our special education support forum, but also at the school level through really nuance parent ambassador focus ideas and strategies that help for kids and families.
So do you find that it's really growing?
We do. We're seeing a lot of interest, not just from parents directly, but from parent serving organizations who are saying the problems that you guys are focusing on are the problems that we're focusing on as well. What we're being very clear about is that the admission ticket is being able to see and engage parents as experts, as equal partners, and as first and forever teachers in the education of their children. And we're seeing that people are willing to make that commitment for families. Sure.
Any more comments or questions, concerns from the board?
Yeah, I do. A question for you. So you're gonna send this presentation to us in email?
Yes, I can have it to you right after.
Awesome. So can we go back to the slide where the renderings were?
Yeah. Am I controlling this, Stephen, or are you?
Yeah.
A little bit of you, a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, help catch me up. I want to understand. Are you saying this is a facility on DTM campus? You got a rendering for it. When did you present this to the Board of Education like this was the intent before?
No, so I presented it to the Board of Education 2 weeks ago as an opportunity. And so really lifted that this is a highly conceptual rendering.
Yeah.
When we first began exploring it, we did reach out to the administration and the facilities team just to see if we could get a look at the facility to determine if it was feasible. So we did walk the facility with our architect team, which is Cedric and Farida. They also retained Rowe to do the initial facility assessment to understand if we were going to parcel the property, where the proper parcel lines could exist. And then brought all of that back as essentially a feasibility assessment. Once we determined that it was feasible to actually add a second floor and to expand on this campus, we started working with the superintendent and the board president to see if we could bring this to the board as an opportunity. 2 weeks ago, as a generative discussion, is this something that we will be interested in continuing a discussion on? And today now as a proposal for a project that we can move forward.
You said this is a proposal tonight?
Yes.
I see a presentation. Did you have any like agreement that you wanted to do?
No, so during the last meeting, Troon was here and lifted a number of items that they would need to formalize a purchase agreement. Those were provided to them, including the work done by Rowe, which includes where the parcel lines would need to be drawn. I did offer at that time to connect Troon with our corporate counsel at Dyke & Gossett. The recommendation at that time was to get the assent from the board or the approval from the board, that the board's approval would then follow, or the purchase agreement will follow the board's approval as a part of that cascade.
From tonight?
Correct.
I wasn't prepared for that tonight, but another question, you said you received funding from the legislature?
We did, yes,
When
in
was that?
2024.
For this project?
For a project, and so the project is specifically to repurpose and renovate a former school, government, or commercial facility for the purposes of early childhood education or after-school programming.
Gotcha. Okay, so when we applied for this in 2024, was this building already included in that plan?
It wasn't. At that time, we were focusing on another building, which was on the GHS campus off Flushing Road. And the focus at that time was much more focused on early childhood education. Since then, a number of things shifted in the landscape. Summerfield was renovated, Brownell was expanded, and the need really became focused more on the after-school aspect of the grant, from our opinion, than the early childhood education aspect of the grant.
Okay, so you saying you presented this information at the last board meeting?
Yes.
I remember seeing that. Okay, and so your request, are you asking us to renovate this building, or what are you seeking?
So I'm seeking the acquisition of the building. That is a requirement of our funding, that we acquire the former government, the vacant government, school, or commercial facility for those purposes. And so I am seeking an acquisition of this facility that is aligned with the assessment provided by Rowe to.
So in your acquisition request, how much were you asking for us to acquire?
The recommendation from the board president was $1. That really allows for us to invest the full $2.4 million in the existing facility. We're committed in our budget to $2.4 million on the existing facility. And so, any reduction from that number or any addition to that number that was proposed would really just come off of the facility cost.
Okay.
And that's why we're doing the co-design process and not bringing you all the finalized rendering, because a number of factors could impact what the final design looks like.
So in the state budget, you received, what was your allocation?
$3.5 million.
3.5 million.
Over 5 years.
Over 5 years, so then there was already an allocation in the budget to acquire a building to pay for it.
Correct, to acquire a building, so that allocation is to acquire a renovated facility. It doesn't specify what the acquisition cost has to be. It doesn't cap acquisition cost.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Madam Chair. See? I wasn't gonna say anything, but that dollar, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. I don't even know how that was. I don't know how that came out. One, I'm gonna stay on this. DTM is one of our largest schools for our students, and that building is in very good condition. And with the limited capacity of DTM, that building sounds like, to me, that building can be used for overflow. I just don't see the benefit, and I shared with you today when you called me, I don't see the benefit of us releasing that school. Flint Schools has to benefit, and providing a building in that location for $1, that's a favor, and we're out of the favor business. We have to do better with what we have. We have to be good stewards. That building will help us to meet the needs of our students and their family. Those students here have a high need, and that building can be used for that, to support that building, with the overflow that the principal has stated of students. Just to be able to walk right across the walkway to more space. Is the space Steve? I'm sorry. All right. I got a lot of energy today, I guess. No further questions. No further comments on my end.
First of all, I really enjoyed your presentation. You were very detailed. And it just seems like it's going to benefit. But is it gonna focus on the Flint community kids?
Absolutely. So as I've outlined in our current agreements, our agreements require us to give Flint Community School students the first right of refusal.
Okay.
So what that means is that any student in the community can apply to come to the program. The students who have to get that first slot are students who are enrolled at the home school.
Mhm.
Right now, we have about 200 slots at DTM, and there are about 80 kids on the wait list.
Mhm.
And so if we got 80 more slots to add to DTM, all 80 of those kids will come from DTM. There was one student on that wait list who wasn't a DTM student, and we got an 81st slot. We could fill that slot with a student who lives in the neighborhood who's not from DTM. Unfortunately, we've never seen that happen, just because of funding constraints, that there's generally wait lists in after-school programs. But again, students from DTM have the priority in the program today. This acquisition doesn't change the program model in any way. It just adds additional space for that program to happen. And so that will continue in the way that we've been operating.
Well, I just think it's a good thing. And the other thing is, I've been over to Educare, I used to read to the kids over there. I've been all through DTM, and if our children are gonna benefit, I think it's a worthy cause. The fact that it's $1, I don't really care. Let me tell you why. Because that school has been empty for over 10 years. So it's just sitting there.
Yes.
Let's do something concrete with it. That's where I'm at. Thank you.
Yeah, so I have a lot to say, but I'm gonna try to keep it brief. So, just full disclosure, I did have a discussion with Dr. Jamerson today. It's not like this is something that we do on a regular and we have closed our meetings or anything. That's why I wanted full disclosure. Because I normally don't talk to people outside of the board meeting. In my mind, we're in a interesting position in the world, especially when it comes to public education. We have to be creative. We have to think outside of the box. This is a whole new brave world that we're living in, with public education being under attack. Theoretically, in a classroom setting, I would be like, public education is public, and the public schools needs to retain all of our assets and keep ownership of this or that. But we have a new political landscape, we have a new political consciousness, and I won't go into that, but there's interesting ways that public-private partnerships have been developing in the period of late capitalism, and we have to change with the times. We have to move where we can for the opportunities, because we have to do it now. We can't wait until it's ideologically the right time, until it's theoretically this or that. We can't have these grandiose ideas, because kids need help now. I am encouraged because the Center for Educational Excellence, in my mind, the Cliff Notes version is, it was Crim and Youth Quest messed up. The community didn't like it. There were lots of complaints about how it was interacting with the community, with the students, with the parents. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle and a little bit of a battle. Out of it came the Flint Center for Excellence. This is how I'm seeing it. Someone else could have a different opinion. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect model, but we don't live in a perfect world. I have confidence in Dr. Jamerson because he's a good man. He's a good person. Now, we are trying to establish structural conditions in which we have longevity, sustainability, we can replicate and expand these programs without individual personalities and without personas, right? So if Dr. Jamerson were to leave, these things would still move forward, systematically, because we have to overcome the systemic racial segregation that we've had to live with, for decades, if not a century, now that there's been a century of education. So I'm interested in the MOU. You mentioned the MOU. I understand it, it's a work in progress. It's not fixed, right? We're still gonna be developing that.
The Flint Early Childhood Collaborative MOU. So we're currently negotiating that with the superintendent and Dr. Coleman. So we're planning on finalizing that this year on the Educare Partnership Agreement. Our current partnership agreement, which is 5 years, due to expire in 2028 on community ed and after school. So we'll be restarting those conversations with the district on the 2028 through 32 agreement starting next year as well. So as soon as we're finished with Educare, we'll open up community ed after school.
So I would suggest that, for the purposes moving forward with the board, whoever is on it, that you just keep coming to the board, keep that communication open, keep the dialogue, keep the community updated on what's happening with the MOU and the partnership so that we're all equal partners. I don't envy your position because I know that there's a master plan. We all know there's a master plan from 2013 and it's gonna get done to us unless we participate with us and we're at the table. It's gonna happen. Now, whether we are going to be partners or whether we're gonna be subjected to it is, up to us. We have to take action on this. So I am for this because, again, theoretically, I want Flint schools to be Flint schools. I want the Flint community, coordinators to be our employees, but that's not the way of the world anymore. And we are trying to do the best we can with what we have right now. Parent ambassadors, the last thing, like I said, I don't want to keep going on because I have a lot to say about this and I think it's important. And I think if anybody in the community wants to come and have a conversation about this, this is my jam and I'm really invested and excited and it's a passion of mine, keeping public education going. The data that you had was very interesting to me. I would like to see that data in a more robust form because I saw the trajectory. It looked like maybe there was a time period when kids weren't in school, maybe there was a vacation or like something, and that there was still after school programming, which is why the line kept going continuously. And I want to know, just data geek wise, is it, maybe we could do a regression analysis. What are the exact touch points that help that child succeed? Is it the fact that they just have somebody there, that they have not supervision, but activities to do, engagement with peers, with adults, that kind of, like, what is the thing that makes the success? So I just think that moving forward, we could have better communication. You weren't given the information, we weren't given the info. It's not anybody's fault. We're put in a deficit so that we fail as a community. And I think that we're just all trying to catch up. So I would be in favor of you having stewardship of this because this is how we're going to get extra money. We're not going to get it from the federal government. We're not going to get it from the state government. If we're waiting on Governor Whitmer to sign something. Good luck with that, given her track record in the last couple of days. You've got 3.5 million. I understand the dollar amount seems like it's a kick in the teeth. It has been in the past. It definitely has been in the past. So maybe to tell that story in a different way. But you have to have site ownership because that's how it is, right? That's how we had to do with communities first. And that's just how public-private partnerships are going with money and grant and things like this these days. You've been very specific about the specific building. It's not DTM. It's not DTM. It is a small portion that is not being used right now. It hasn't been used for some time. And what you're proposing is value added to DTM. It's not taking away that property. It's an exciting community expansion. So again, I'll stop, and that's where I'm at with that. And I really hope board members see this as an opportunity to really do something now.
Trustee Booth?
Yes, did I understand you say that it wouldn't cost for folks schools to do anything?
That's correct.
This is grant funded,
That's correct.
the renovation and the addition.
That's correct. So the renovation and the addition will be grant funded. The program itself will continue to be funded by the Charles Stewart Bond Foundation. And so in total, the facility and the program will continue to be provided at no cost to the district.
Thank you. Thank you. I will have final words. I appreciate your presentation, and I want my board to listen to me. DTM students has kept us as it relates to test scores. They have done the job. Teachers have done the job. The principal, when you look at that new facility, we owe that to that community. It's time for us to start to give. This board has over 600 some acres of land. And what I'm asking this board about is all in work for what he's giving back. DTM students in that community deserve this, just like this community deserved this. We can't do one for one community and leave that community when we have the opportunity to do it. $1 investment for a child in a community is nothing when you have it to give. When you have it to give. This is going to be great to add on what we're doing. We had 2 great schools, Nethercutt kids, had proven successful when it comes to the state. And Eisenhower. We got to get past voting and kicking our kids out of the district and not willing to give them $1 to make their life better. We've got to close the school. And closing school has shown to be a disaster, especially when the children met the goals of doing what they're supposed to do. I'm asking this board, when you present to us the MOU or whatever is needed, present it to Mr. Jones. We'll have a special meeting, and we have a board requirement that 5 votes is all it takes to move this forward. And from the hearing my voice, the voices on this board, I think we have a good chance. You have done great work being a partnership. Mott could have said, I'm not going to give you $1 to build that school, but they gave us 100 million. Governor Whitmer could have said, I'm not going to give you $1 to help your folks out. They gave us 30-some million. Representative Kelly could have said, I'm not going to give you a dime. Cynthia Neely, John Cherry, they didn't say that. They saw a need, and they got together and brought a community together. Now, the board is in debt, and you telling me you can't give the kids in the community $1? I'm applaud. I appreciate what you have done. Send that proposal, that MOU, bring it before the board, and we're going to make sure it happens. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. If I could just clarify, should we begin working with Troy
True.
on?
Yeah, I will reach out to Mr. John, we'll reach out to Tron, because we left off with him. Your contact will be with Superintendent Jones and Mr. Tron, and him and I will work together.
Wonderful, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, have a great day.
Great presentation.
I now call upon Superintendent Jones to present action items to the board.
Thank you, Board President. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve resolution 1.1.
Jones. If I make a motion to batch action items 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4.
There's a motion on the floor to batch.
Support.
The motion died for a second.
I support.
Oh, you support it, I'm sorry, he supported, open up for discussion.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
my reason for batching is we all had a very in-depth discussion with this, and Ms. Montgomery did an excellent job with her presentation, and I just think all the questions that needed to be asked were asked, and I just think this should just be one that we batched.
I'm opposed to her batching.
even though we did say you was absent, you did not get a part to participate it. And I would like, when we're making decision, all board members have an opportunity to, participate. So I'm not, voting to batch. So to the majority of the board, Trustee McIntyre.
Yeah, I don't think batching is good practice, in general anyway. And I would like to separate these or to keep them, remain them separate because I'm in favor of one and not, the other three. So I can't split my vote.
Being said, well, Lieutenant, Trustee Perkins, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had a question. I was looking at the recommendations, and I asked you before about.
Trustee Perkins, we're making,
Oh.
decision to batch or not batch.
No, I mean,
You can ask the question, but, so now we need to take a vote on the floor. Those that want to batch, as I call your name, say yes. Those that wants to hear each item clearly and make the advisory decision, you're saying no. Trustee King,
No, yes.
yes to this. Trustee Rutherford,
Yeah.
Trustee McIntyre,
No.
Trustee Perkins,
no,
Trustee Booth,
No.
and myself a no. 4 no, 2 yes. Proceed, Mr. Jones.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I move to approve item 1.1.
there's some, go ahead, Mr.
Support.
Jones.
I already saw the motion for 1.4,
Okay,
so
it's been properly moved and second. Is there any discussion for item 1.1, personnel recommendation?
yes.
Yes,
Sister Keisha, I mean, Miss Keisha, I asked you before about, English, the English teacher, and you said you had interviewed someone. Did you hire? Because I don't see it on the recommendations.
I would have to go back and do research and follow up with you on my emails. We brought in so many teachers.
yes, you did.
I'd have to, I'd have to follow up with
I
you.
wasn't here though, so, but you didn't fill any English positions.
No, I can't. I'd have to follow up with you to let you know, because we filled so many throughout the district. So let me look into it and I'll follow up with you.
Well, I was specific to the high school.
Okay.
Okay.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yeah, and look at all the teachers. There is a teacher shortage and yet here
You
we
got
are.
Spanish teacher.
Oh, Spanish and Montessori. I know that the community had come forward in the last couple of years really asking for that. So we're really trying to listen to the needs and meet those needs, of our families. And just, I don't know, maybe if you can reiterate how great it is to work here because of all the bonuses, and we're really trying to make salaries competitive to the best of our ability, even when we're operating within a deficit, and that we love our teachers and they're the backbone of this district. So thank you.
Yes, under resignation, I noticed that some of them had like 1 or 2 years. Now, did they get assigned?
Excuse me, we're doing the personnel recommendation. You're
Oh,
gonna
I'm
drop
sorry.
off, kind of dropped a bit.
Okay, I'm jumping ahead.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else have any question regarding personnel recommendation? Yeah,
This is.
hold on.
Yes,
I wanna-
yes, I'm at it, what do you say?
Just point of information to the chair, know that that was
Okay,
what trustee
yeah.
Booth was addressing, and this is germane to the topic.
Point of information.
What's your point?
2.1, to my understanding, board president, is a question. 2.1 is retirements and resignations, not 1.1.
Yeah, he's correct. It's 2.1. It's 2. I skipped it.
Okay, seeing no further question regarding the recommendation of personnel conducted by roll call vote. Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Booth.
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre.
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer Newman is absent. It's a yes, 6 yes, 1 absent.
I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve resolution 1.2, approving the creation of the grant support and analyst position.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I move to approve resolution 1.2.
support. It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm good to go.
Proceed.
Ms. Montgomery, in respect to my colleague, Ms. Perkins wasn't here and I wasn't here, but I received the information. Could you give us like a quick note of why we need this position and what this position will help us do in the future?
So with the creation of this position, it was actually in response to an audit finding that the board had received a while back for time and effort reporting. And so it really would be a reclassification of the grant secretary position, but we've actually expanded the role. And so with this position, this individual would be actually providing training to secretaries and department staff as it relates to I would say time and effort reporting, the purchase order process. And then this person would also be responsible for creating manuals. So that way we have processes in place to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible with the funds that we have. So that's the reason why we're recommending the position.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Montgomery,
Yes.
are you eliminating that secretary position?
So yes, it would be a restructuring where.
Are you eliminating it
Yes.
completely?
Yeah.
And we're just gonna replace
that with this
Is that position going to that person or where that person going?
The individual would need to apply for the role within this position.
And if they don't get the role, then that's another.
If they don't get the role, there's other positions in the district.
I did address to you about this HR auditor. And it's so essential, a job analysis for the board, because we are so top-heavy and in a deficit, and we continue to get in a deficit. You have something to say? I hear someone talking. So we continue to be in a deficit. So my concern is that, and I think it was some of my colleagues, is that you guys kind of making it difficult for me as a board when I have data to support the necessary need. I understand very well what the audit is saying, but the audit is not saying hiring. It might be a thing of restructuring. We cannot keep going on doing the business the way that we are doing business and not, we got a zero balance budget need to come. We got to know where we at and stop adding on. We did agree as a board The door was open for your teachers, your payroll, because that affect the education. But now we're getting down to our administration. And we got to be a little bit more conservative. I hear what you're saying now, that you're gonna eliminate this position, administration. And that, but then that pay increase is gonna increase a little higher. Is this the position that does not require because I'm not reading my documents, I speak to you, a bachelor, this position?
Yeah, this one doesn't require a bachelor's degree.
So, Board President, thank you for your comments. What I want to make sure that we are distinguishing is that the zero balance budget work we're doing is with the general fund. This is not general fund.
Well, I also with, I'm talking about your HR, audit and your job analysis that affects that position.
Understood. Can I finish?
Sure.
Can I finish? And that doesn't mean we just spend money. However, this is grant funded positions, that we are answering, a question of the work. And then when we speak of this position, maybe when we say top heavy, are we talking administration building? Because if we're talking about central office building, those are not all positions that are directors or superintendent or an executive. Those positions help us do the work in the schools as well that supports the principals and the teachers. So not every position in central office is a position of leadership. Many of those positions we have is supporting the work in the schools that we have, just like this one is supposed to do, is support the work in the schools. So I just want to distinguish the difference in the way we are speaking of positions as it pertains to the help and support we need to do the work every day, rather than thinking of it in a space because we hire someone in central office, we're top heavy because we hire someone in central office. We still need to do the work in the schools and manage those funds and the work that's going into those buildings every day. So I just wanted to add that comment because I don't want us to think because we hire someone in central office, then we're gaining something in central office that is causing more money for the district to pay in the general fund. That's not the goal here. That's not what's happening with this position.
President.
Okay, I'm just getting a little frustrated with this because we know this, superintendent. This isn't actually what we're talking about. We're talking about apples and oranges here at this point. And I feel frustrated because I feel like either you don't understand that or you're purposely obfuscating the issue. The issue that we have stated as a board and myself individually is that until we get a job analysis that is concurrent with a zero budget balance, also with an academic audit, which we need for the district, we are not moving forward with, and you can parse language if you want, central office, administration, top heavy. Administration means anybody who's not in the classroom. If you're administrative, it means you're pushing paper. You're not dealing with children in the classroom. That's an administrative job, and that's what most of the community understands and talks about when they say that a school is top heavy. We are top heavy. We need more people in the classroom with the actual children doing that work because that is the important work. The grant shuffling, the paper pushing, the stapling, believe me, I know all too well exactly what that kind of work looks like because I've been in the education industry for 30 years. And it's the awful part of the industry, and it's the part that really needs to be cut down. I have said repeatedly that until we get that job analysis, I am not going to vote to hire any more directors, coordinators, deans, oh my God, just whatever these titles are, we have individuals who are working in the central office who need to have job descriptions that describe the work that's needed, that's getting done, and how it's getting applied. Changing a job description, adding more money to it, shuffling it around without a clear, comprehensive structural overview, to me is wasteful and not good practice at this time. So, I mean, I've said this before, I'm just reiterating my position. We should have somebody, the finding wasn't, the audit finding wasn't to hire more administrators. The audit finding was to have the people in the central office do what they're supposed to be doing right now with the jobs that they have. Just because something isn't coming out of general fund, and this is one of my pet peeves, is that, well, it's grant funded. It's not coming out of the general fund. It's grant money. It's free money. Woo, we're just gonna, not look too closely at how we're spending it. And there we go. And I'm not in agreement with that. So that's all I'm gonna say about these support positions, because I've already said I want to see the job analysis. It's not that I'm against the way that this is being restructured, but we haven't done the work, we haven't seen the data, and I'm getting tired of it getting put off and put off and put off year after year, meeting after meeting, so no.
Is there any more comments from the board? Trustee King?
Madam Chair, Ms. Montgomery, I'm gonna have you, walk with me just for a moment, okay? I wanna make sure I'm clear, because I think
Sorry, Trustee.
as we talk about this, since the 3.5 years I've been on the board, we talk about admin positions, top heavy, and these things. Ms. Montgomery presented an HR overall hierarchy chart to us. I think was it last year. She presented it to us. She went over each department. We had a robust conversation about it. And we talk about this grant analysis position and staying on topic here and trying to bring this in context. You said this is the current person in this position now is called a general secretary?
A grant secretary.
A grant
correct.
secretary. So this position itself, I'm not gonna talk about the person because the person is not the problem for me. The position says a grant secretary. You're asking to reclassify it as a grant analyst position.
Correct.
Because if I'm a secretary, if I'm going to train other people,
Yeah.
I'm not doing secretarial duties.
Correct.
And so if I'm working for you and you're telling me to go do training,
Right.
and I'm labeled as a secretary.
Yeah.
My response would be, I'm not a trainer, I'm a secretary.
Right. You're
But-
training people in your same classification.
Okay, and so, and to my understanding with this current position, it includes training.
Yeah.
General secretary work.
Yeah.
But includes more training and called more little oversight and kind of helping the team.
Pretty much.
Right.
So we've expanded the role and the responsibilities beyond what a normal secretary would do.
Got you. And we talk about the audit finding. I understand what my colleague is saying about, we didn't ask for, just because we have a finding, we didn't say make a new position. So when I hear you say reclassify a position, I hear you specifying, hey, well, this person do these things to expand a little bit more so this can encompass, hey, covering that work. Necessarily where it is an increase because you have more duties. Now, I think about it from an employee perspective. You're asking me to do something that's not in a job description I have, but I'm considered I have to do it because there's a line of the duties is assigned. I also think about the impacts where if we keep this approach of top heavy or this new thing called a job analysis. My colleague, to my understanding, it's the first time I'm hearing of that. I would love to see a job analysis. We hired an HR consultant, actually with Dr. Wanda Cook Robinson, to conduct that job analysis already. I haven't said the words that I would not approve any director or anything like that because I believe the work still goes on. I didn't think the intent behind this specific position and the other ones, I've looked at the presentation. You clearly show what the job duties of the secretary does, and what it will transition to as a support analyst. You can get that for every position. And I appreciate that. I also want to, I don't want to minimize administrative officials. To my colleagues, I say this all the time, the words we say carries weight. It sends weight to a district, because every person that works in the admin building is not pushing paper. I don't want to minimize the job of pushing paper. There are real conversations, real partnerships being made, good work that's happening and through supporting each school building, to make sure that does not reflect my perspective, as we talk about admin work, because administrative work is needed, because if we didn't have administrative work, we have more findings in an audit if we didn't have administrative work. I think where my colleagues are talking about how do we tailor and do more measurable, get some good outcomes from administrative work, I think we could talk about that. But add to my colleagues, I think reclassifying a position to encompass training and providing that person the opportunity to apply for the role, but necessarily, I think this is a no-brainer for me, because when to the topic of grant funds, Superintendent Jones, what is our grant allocation usage rate for at the moment?
We're right around 60%. We need to be at 80%. It is an issue.
It needs to be at 80% based on who said that?
State of Michigan.
State of Michigan said, hey, we're
underutilizing our grant fund.
Underutilizing our grant funds. I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not saying just because we underutilize our grant funds, we frivolously create new positions to utilize our grant funds and maximize at 80%. What I also am saying though is where we already have an academic audit going on, or a curriculum to see what we have and what we're doing with it. There's also room to maximize the space and use our grant funds, particularly in a way that's more effective to children learning. But we know grant funds are limited, and to my understanding, these positions that you list here were approved by the state.
Yes.
Approved by the state. State didn't have an issue with it. They didn't say top heavy. They didn't say these things. They said this is an approved position. This was helpful. And who oversees the grant department right now?
Dr. Coleman.
Hey, Dr. Coleman is here, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Dr. Coleman. So since you've been overseeing the grant department, in this role, how does this role support you in your work?
Good evening. As Ms. Montgomery stated, the grant specialist position is going to provide an opportunity to have a laser focus on our time and effort reporting. Our time and effort reporting is something that we received an audit finding for. It is documentation that is required of each person who was funded by grants to be able to provide documentation to the state on the work that they're doing and the alignment that the work that they're doing is with the grant requirements. And we have 9 schools with over $53 million worth of grant funds. So that requires a significant amount of paperwork. So that is one of the principal things that the grant specialist will be doing, is helping us with ensuring that we have the proper documentation. In addition to that, our secretaries and our school improvement coordinators help us with facilitating the work of the grants and ensuring that we're in alignment. And these personnel, when there's turnover, these personnel will require training. So this person will ensure and be on top of the personnel training that is taking place to ensure that we don't have a lapse if there's a change in personnel, so that everyone is aware of the processes as they change. And sometimes processes change from the state level as well. So as these shifts occur, this individual will be our support in ensuring that our secretaries, school improvement coordinators, and our grant funded personnel are following the proper protocols in terms of paperwork and compliance.
Thank you. So even with that being said, I think about it, 9 school buildings. To my colleague's point, where schools, our teachers, our people, our employees that's inside the school should be focused on educating our kids, making sure that they're being the best they can be. And then this administrative work is really guiding, like oversight, putting the glue together and making sure we're being aligned with our grants. There is no other person to do that at the moment. And to my opinion, to my colleagues, I don't want to belabor this point, but I will be supporting this because it's needed for one. It's also where reclassification is not more so of a new position, even though the position that's listed helps streamline this. And I think we've already talked about the structure of each department, especially specifically the grant department at the moment. But I'm always welcome to go through another HR conversation around how do we do that. But I don't want to, create this cadence that every time a position comes, that we have to do this push and pull between admin and school employees. I would love to see us go beyond that, but thank you.
Trustee Rutherford.
Thank you. As the HR chair, first of all, thank you for having a meeting with myself. And then I was told you had to meet with president, vice president, and whoever else was there. But I guess for me, when you answer all questions offline, I'm confused. Well, these questions came up and you answered them, in detail. And to say you're expanding a position, it's simple. You're expanding a position. You're not increasing the budget. And we are, correct me, we're like 90% grant funded district. Is it like 90% or am I? Mr. Jones, like how many?
I can't give you that exact number, but we're high.
We're high,
We're very
okay.
high.
So with audit finding, and we're so dependent, let me use that word. We're so heavily dependent on grants. We need to be laser focused on every grant. And if we're only using 60% of grant funds, that's telling the state they need to pull that money back. And when we giving away buildings for $1, we need to keep all the money that we have. So for me, I'm kind of confused, but however, everyone's able to get on the soapbox. But I thought you did a phenomenal job answering all the questions because this did come before the board. And I personally had questions and you went back and you took into account what you heard and you added also yourself, Dr. Coleman. So I'm kind of a little bit bewildered with all these, I guess, torpedoes being thrown out, but this is needed. We're a district that need this. This isn't added to the budget. Actually, this is helping the leadership of the building, if I'm not mistaken. So this is something that the principals would no longer have to do. And to have 9 schools where this district is pulling in $53 million, that's a lot of money. And we really need to prioritize that and pay attention to what's feeding us and keeping us afloat. So I will be supporting this as all of them because you've done what we asked you to do. Thank you.
If I may, I would just like to say that we have added more teachers this year than any other year that I know that I've been superintendent because of the work that's being done in HR. We are asking for positions to support the work. And I would ask the Board of Education, what would be the request that we do in the meantime if we don't bring forward the things that we think we need to do? This is the how. So if this is the how that I'm bringing forward, I just need to know what, if these are voted down, then what is the meantime work? And what are we going to put in its place to ensure that we're doing that work until such a time as that we're doing whatever it is that you guys want to see. So I'm fighting for these positions because we had 3 separate meetings that was requested. We had an HR subcommittee meeting, we had a leadership meeting, and you also met with the HR committee lead, chair. So if I would have known that there was something requested before, we would have brought this forward today, because that's what I was told in the committee meeting, to bring these positions and put them on the agenda. So that's what I was told by the board, and the only 2 that were absent, Trustee Claudia and Trustee King. So I would ask, if you don't vote for them, then please help me to understand what are we going to do in the meantime.
I'll answer that for you. 2021, 2022, the board was presented, always been presented with, and I talked to you about it, I just sent it out, a job analysis organization chart. What it does, it helps us make sound decisions. when you just bringing something to a chairperson and you just constantly, we have a responsibility to understand where are we at in this district. We don't get adequate information. So that job analysis started out, and this is some of the problems that we have when we have new board. If you hear my colleagues say this is new, I never heard that word. But I spoke to the superintendent about it. 2023, 24, brought it up again. As a matter of fact, I brought it up in our meeting about this HR audit and this job analysis. We have to have it. I'm not saying this is not important, but it also have to look at what we have financial. Enrollment has not enough. We make money through enrollment, but we're constantly spending. I know you're saying grant, but at the same time, we have other expenses which require high enrollment. We got to get out of debt. We were kind of moving forward, but then we lost 10 million some dollars a year when we closed another school, which meant that $10 million, which meant that $10 million is a loss to the district. I'm not saying this is not important, Mr. Jones, but I have spoken with you on several times. And I hear that there was an HR audit done, but we as a board don't have that report. Am I correct?
Yeah, so we discussed this, but we also discussed the job analysis that you all said that please work on that job analysis, but you did not tell any of us that we could not bring anything forward until you get a job analysis.
Well, we're not, I don't think I ever said that you could not bring anything forward. I was in a meeting very comfortable and what I know of what I say, I need my board to retract what I said. However, what I'm saying is that you're correct. We talk about job analysis. You stay there and we have these conversations. Well, here we are in another financial situation without the vital information that we need. My colleagues need to see what a job organization, job analysis chart look like. They never see it. So it's like we just making up something.
Point of information.
What's your point?
Are you referring to the HR organizational chart, or are you asking for the analysis of how many positions needed?
The question that we needed was a organization job analysis chart, not your regular HR chart that you send out to everybody. We can get those. And then I would like to see the HR audit. And I'm just asking my colleagues, no, this conversation happened to come up because we in the middle of the public. And I want the public to know, and I want people to understand. I am looking at our financial situation. I can say, yeah, things will be behind the door, but the public don't know it. I'm bringing this to you guys' attention. That I know you said you're working on it. Is the HR auditing complete? It's not complete.
The one that you had Dr. Wanda's team working on, that's not complete yet.
So are we gonna be able to get an update
Yes, ma'am.
sometime soon?
Yes, ma'am.
Because we as a board, we look at documents here, 2 board members working here, and I still have those same questions. I would be reluctant to, but I would go ahead because we put you in a hybrid position. And you put us in a hybrid position. But because I don't want, I know it's grant, but I like to be transparent as well. I would ask the board and those that wants to, we need 4 votes to move this forward. Then we go ahead and prove this here, buckle down. And if it's something you don't know, if I ask for a job analysis, and because you don't know nothing about it, some things, a lot of things we are doing was 3 or 4 years behind you guys getting it. Doesn't mean that it's still not a requirement. So what I'm asking my board members to do, for the sake of this situation, let's go ahead and move this.
Madam Chair.
Proceed, trustee King.
Yeah, I want to make sure I want to make sure my words are clear. When I say about a job analysis, from the 3.5 years I've been here, we have not requested that specifically. So I didn't mean that my words were misinterpreted. I know what a job analysis is, but when it comes to the HR organizational chart, we received that, but I want to make sure I'm clear. I didn't say I didn't know what a job analysis
Point of
was.
information.
Yeah.
This is not to debate and dispute, but point of information, what I'm saying is, I didn't say HR organization chart. These are two different things. I said the HR audit. And I will send you that information for the job analysis, what we're looking for.
No, okay.
And
Madam
so
Chair,
I don't think.
I
we
still
should-
have the floor, right?
But, yeah, you
I
still have the floor.
right? I want to make sure I'm clear. I understand what a job analysis is. That's pretty basic, right? What I'm saying is that this new request of a job analysis is, we haven't had a discussion at the board table and said this is what we wanted. We did say, however, hey, administration team, HR team, come to us in a proper way, and then communicate the right way. And I want to make sure I commend the team for actually doing that. You did that in this HR presentation that you presented to the board. You literally did everything that was requested, honestly, in my opinion. But the job analysis, I'm excited to see what the consultant will come up with and get an update from there.
Any more comments? Yes. One thing that bothered me was, the fact that you said that the secretary would have to apply for this position. Why couldn't you just train her in that position in the first place? And rather than do away with her job, that kind of bothered me.
So she's already doing part of the work. It's just part of the process that we have. So with the PO process, all of those things, she meets the qualifications for the position, but we don't want to necessarily, we just want to follow the process, but she meets the qualifications for the role already. So essentially what this looks like is, and I don't know if the board knows this, part of the partnership agreement that was created for this year talked about putting systems and processes in place for the grants department. And this is our effort to put systems and processes in place, but we need people to be able to support the work. So the idea behind this position is if you have 9 buildings, it's a lot easier to centralize through one person. They take ownership of that work in that role, and then they can make sure that when individuals come in, everybody's doing the same thing.
I understand that, but I had an issue with eliminating a person's job, and they hypothetically might not get the job, but they're already trained in half of it. It would seem like it's not a stretch to train them in the rest of it.
Yeah.
And so that's where my problem was, and I was gonna vote no because of that.
Yeah, Ms. Perkins, let me share something. With the person in the position, ideally, we always look to bring individuals on as direct hires. So that was taken into consideration when the position was created. And that builds culture and climate when you have a person that works directly for the district as opposed to a person that's outsourced. So that was taken into consideration with the person who's doing the work right now.
Okay, well, because I really hate outsourcing. I'm gonna be the
Yeah.
first one to tell you.
Yeah. So this is the opportunity to bring somebody in-house.
Are there any more questions? Then on roll call, the question roll call vote is to approve, resolution 1.2, approve the creation of the grant support analysis position. Secretary Perkins,
Yes.
trustee Booth,
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre,
No.
trustee Rutherford,
Yes.
trustee King,
Yes.
trustee Norman is out. And myself, I vote for yes, 5 yes, 2 no. That's it, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion in the second for the board to approve resolution 1.3, approving the creation of the grant coordinator position.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve item 1.3.
Support.
Properly moved and support. Is there any discussions?
What's the difference between the one before and this one? I'm a little baffled.
So the grant coordinator is a senior level position that will work closely with Dr. Coleman. This individual, we were required to have at least a bachelor's degree with a master's preferred. And so they'd be working closely with her as well as the buildings to go in and provide training as it relates to grants. So it's a higher level position compared to the one that you saw before.
Okay. Madam Chair, I want to make, so this is where an opportunity, Ms. Perkins wasn't at that meeting to understand, I mean, we'll probably to capture how to visualize what this department looks like. And so if you can walk with me and hopefully this helps. So how many people do we have currently in the grant department?
Currently, we have 2 grant field monitors. We have a family engagement.
When you say grant field monitors, what do they, so you have an upper and a lower, can you explain what that looks like?
So the upper grant field monitor will help to support the implementation of grants for secondary schools. And then the lower grant field monitor will help to support the implementation of grants for elementary
So they go
schools.
inside the school, support the grant work that's going on inside the school. Those are the 2 grant field monitors.
Correct.
What's the next position that we have?
It will be the secretary currently, which we are repurposing now to be the specialist.
Yes.
That person, as we discussed, would be supporting with the time and effort reporting, training, et cetera.
So we got the analysts, 2 grant field monitors, and who else?
And then currently that's the entire department, and then it would be myself.
100%. So for historical context, you had a director of state and federal programs, right?
Correct.
You no longer have that person.
Correct.
In the interim, you have assumed that role of going over grants.
Yes.
Of supervising 3 people.
Right.
Right? As you came on as a new CIO, supervising 3 people, not just those, that grant department, you have principals and all those others, things to directors to supervise. So this grant coordinator position will essentially be the leader of this area that works closely with you. And working closely with you, what is the benefit of that?
So this person will be coordinating. I will be supervising the staff.
Yeah, okay.
But this person will be coordinating, focusing on timelines, high-level planning, making sure that we're in grant compliance, ensuring that we are monitoring our spending, as well as collaborating with purchasing in order to work with the CFO to ensure that purchasing is taking place. And just really working alongside with me, I will provide oversight. My oversight is critical because I'm in a conversation with the state to ensure that we have the information we need for compliance. And so I bring information down from the state, then the coordinator and I would sit together and map out the plan timelines and implementation of that. And then the coordinator would then handle the day-to-day operation to ensure that the field monitors and the analysts are following the plan that we set in place.
Gotcha, cool. So currently, right now, who's doing that work?
Right now, it's myself.
Yourself?
Yes.
Right, so you're over grants, then you're over building principles.
Correct.
Centralized student enrollment. There's MTS Director of Academics. There are several director level positions, but this position not a director level, but essentially is a coordinator to help that. But this position helps you and Superintendent Jones, as we talk about strategic and executive leadership piece, was how do we tailor all this together with grants to make sure we're on the right page, but also alleviates that day-to-day every time where you're inside the grants, but you're still supervising grants, but you still will have flexibility to do the supervision that's needed.
Yes.
That's desperately needed in other areas, especially with building level leadership in academics.
Correct.
Okay. Hopefully that helps.
I have no more discussion. I still got my opinions. Roll call. Accept resolution 1.3. Vice President McIntyre.
No.
Secretary Kirk.
Yeah.
Trustee Booth.
Yes.
Trustee Rouse.
Yes.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Treasurer absent. And my vote is good, yes. On this condition, you guys please give me the information that I asked so I can distribute it. Proceed, Mr. Johnson.
I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve resolution 1.4, authorization to create a coordinator of culture and climate.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I move to approve item 1.4.
Support. Been properly moved and supported.
Madam Chair.
I'm gonna open this up for discussion, but what I want you ladies, you guys to do is explain that position to the public.
So the coordinator of culture and climate position would be providing high-level support to the building administrator. They would be responsible for overseeing the behavioral piece with students. So they're more focused on preventative measures versus reactive. When we had the special board meeting, we were actually looking at discipline data, and we looked at the number of suspensions that we actually had. And so this individual would be working with behavioral specialists, the teachers, to kind of model what those preventative measures look like. Also working with families, so that way we're not so quick to suspend, but we're looking at other models that we can implement to reinforce positive behavior with students.
And let them know that position is resulted from.
Yes, so the district actually worked with the ISD. There was a position called Student Success Coordinators. That position has since been eliminated as of June 30th. And so there was, I think, a total of about 7 individuals who were working in that position. And so this would be an opportunity for those individuals to apply for this position, the Coordinator of Culture and Climate. The position would work 210 days, so they would follow the elementary principal schedule, and it would require a bachelor's degree. So we're looking for a high level experience.
Any discussion from the board?
How many coordinators you plan to hire?
So it would be 1 for each building.
Okay, so how many total?
So actually it would be a total of 9, because 1 would be assigned to each building, but then we're also looking for a centralized person that can work directly with the directors at central office, and then this person would be responsible for making sure that all of the other coordinators are doing the same thing, so we don't have different things taking place at different buildings.
Okay, we have 2 at Southwestern or just 1?
We have 1 at Southwestern, but we were talking about having a centralized person, possibly not necessarily a central office, but in one of the buildings, but we haven't determined which building yet.
Is this grant funded?
Yes.
Can I ask a question about behavioral specialists? How many do we have? And
We have, there's a behavioral specialist for every building, but some buildings have more than 1. And it's based off of our student enrollment population that we have. So this would be, yeah, this would be a higher level position, but they would work closely with them.
do we have any occupational therapists in the school?
Yes. But they're under the GISD, we partner with them.
Any more comments?
Madam Chair. Walter. Okay. Southwestern is currently housing high school and ALA.
Correct.
So they will have, Southwestern, the building will have 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so Southwestern itself will be signing 1, ALA will be signing the other. Correct, okay. When you talk about a behavior specialists are edge staff, right?
Yes.
Edge staff. This position is
It'd be a direct hire
be a
position.
direct hire position, okay. When you presented the information at our last our meeting that I wasn't at, but I looked at the PowerPoint here. We talked about discipline data. We talked about that a lot during that conversation that I see. How will this position help with discipline data?
So they would be working closely with those who are responsible for the work of MCSS as well as the enrollment department. So as it relates to data, making sure that decisions are driven based off of the data that we actually see. And then also working to train staff on different procedures that we have as it relates to as it relates to restorative practices. Thank you.
Great, so restorative practices. So our goal is not to suspend kids out of school, because we know every day counts for our scholars to be inside of school. And so sort of practice this person's position will basically be that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ms. Montgomery, now I heard you say that we're thinking about hiring a position for the admin, for the
It'd be like a centralized.
a centralized, so this is where I would challenge the thought, okay? That's the first time I'm hearing about that position piece. And that's where a challenge will come between communication. Is that this is the first time I'm hearing it, and then it comes up and they say, wait, where did this come from? Because essentially in my mind, that's a director of culture and climate, because if you're supervising and making sure all that works.
Well, let me clarify, they're
Okay.
not the directors.
Okay.
The principals will still supervise them, but the
Okay.
reason why we had the idea of having a centralized person, so right now you can go into different buildings, we could have something established and each building is doing something totally different. And so we need an individual that is not so much a director, but they can work with the directors to receive training, guidance, and then making sure that it's being implemented with fidelity across the building. So what we're implementing is consistent, and you don't have Southwestern doing one thing and Doyle Ryder doing something totally different.
All right, so got you. So here's where I'm gonna vote for this position here, but here's where my challenge will be. So they report to the principal. The principal will report to who?
The principals will report to Dr. Coleman.
Dr. Coleman, right? Dr. Coleman essentially, right, set the standard for how the building should be able to run all in unison.
Yeah.
And if they're the immediate supervisors, the principal, and the principal report to Dr. Coleman, that should be streamlined and how we should do things in fidelity, right? That's my thinking.
Yeah.
Because when you present that and you call it not a director, but it's basically doing director things, that's where my challenge comes from on this side, and that's where in that challenge, we don't get the things across like how we need to. And so I would encourage us to work on how we present that, because if that was the idea and plan at the beginning, I think that would have been a good thing, though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Thank you. If I may, I think when you discussed that, and I talked about that person being a floater.
Yeah.
And that's where it came from, because you want to make sure, of course, there's no ISO, there's no islands. Every school is just unique to, which schools are unique, but however, we should have some common practices that go across the district. Because if you get in a fight, that should be 3 days, if that's what the policy is across the district. Instead of, well, I know you, so I won't put you in synergy and you won't get expelled. That right there is promoting bad behavior. So to me, this position would definitely alleviate a lot of that, because that person is on site and everyone's going to be held accountable with this person, because this person has the ability to go to each school to make sure things are going the way that they're going, because the administrators cannot get to every building every day, but this person can. And I think one of the things that this district is lacking is accountability. People do whatever they want to do because no one's paying attention until cameras and chaos hit. But I think this person will help stabilize the district. It's really needed, and to me, this is working from the bottom up instead of the top down. And I think this right here will be very impactful, and people will be able to cite the restorative core practices that people cannot recite. Thank you.
I want to thank you for this position because, in order for the school teachers to teach, we got to bring the parents in. And the behavior is probably 50 or 60% of all district. It's the behavior. That's why I'm supporting this, because it's addressing the issue. It's just a beginning, because the behavior been so bad. And that if anything that we want to do, that you guys can do, find a program that focus on parenting. Because it's gonna take the parents. I'm supporting them. It's much needed. And it takes actually, which I told you before, hopefully we can get, we have a couple of them in there and create some other program. as it relates to parent. Do I make myself, as it relates to parent, you're not talking about parenting? If you're not talking about comforting parenting and all this stuff, I need you to capture the parents' hearts.
Yeah.
If it ain't capturing the parents' heart, this president is not interested. Great job. Trustee, McIntyre.
So this one for me is actually different because it was explained and went through a process that, you know, that followed procedure and, it's a GISD grant that ended and now we're bringing it in-house. It's now, you know, part of our school district, so it's like part of that transition process that was needed. And I'm totally supporting anything that reinforces restorative justice practices, so this one's, yes.
Seeing no further discussion, roll call. To accept resolution 1.4. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Cruz?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Treasurer Luna is absent, myself, yes, 6 yes, the motion passed. Board member on page 62, we have got into that discussion about retirement. Just for your overview, we wanna do a shout out and make a quick remark. I say quick, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, quick.
As I was saying earlier, I noticed some of them only stayed 1 or 2 years. Did they get the sign off?
Yeah, they did get the sign off.
And what is the, I mean, you can't retire.
The way we designed the sign off bonus, they earned it as they went, as opposed to having them have to repay it back. So,
They didn't get all of it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do want to focus on this year is really a big focus on improving culture and climate, working directly with principals and supervisors, and having a 30, 60, 90-day survey. We actually do exit interviews, but we want to be a little bit more proactive as far as what we do and looking at engagement and how do we retain the teachers that we're bringing on as well as other staff.
In general, do you know why they left? No, I mean, we don't want no names, of course, but in general.
You know what, this is a hiring season, so sometimes it is a little tough. Sometimes people will come on board and they move around, so sometimes it can be various reasons, but it's a really competitive time right now. I think Flint is definitely holding their own with the staff that they've been able to bring in, but sometimes you have individuals who will hop from district to district, so if they feel like they can go somewhere else with the experience that they have and make a little bit more, so.
Okay, sounds good. Trustee Perkins?
I just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Alan Velez. He was our maintenance person. He was super and always had a great smile. And I just hate that he had to leave. Well, he didn't have to leave, but he chose to leave. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say.
Seeing no further questions, Superintendent Jones proceed to finance and operations.
Seek a motion in a second from the board to approve 11.1 resolution to adopt budget amendment.
So moved. It's been properly moved and supported. Is there any discussions? You need to expand on that for just the public information. You want to just expand on so the public can hear what we're doing.
Yeah, so at our initial budget hearing, there was an error in the tax levy. We had a special meeting that corrected that error. This is just a follow-up to have a budget amendment that reflects in the resolution the correct tax levy.
Thank you.
Right.
Any further questions? Seeing no further discussion, roll call to accept 11.1. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth,
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford,
Yes.
Trustee King,
Yes.
Treasurer Looney absent, myself, yes, 6 yes, 1 absent. Proceed, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion in a second from the board to approve resolution 11.2, authorization of payment of administration fees for urgent institutions.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve item 11.2.
Support. Been properly moved, and second. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Proceed.
so can you explain, this one here?
So Argent is the company that manages our debt funds, so they take in our tax payments. They make sure our debt, payments are made on our behalf each year and make sure we have enough money in our funds to cover the future.
Any further discussion? To separately, resolution 11.2, roll call, Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Booth,
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee King,
Yes.
Treasurer Looney absent, Trustee Rutherford,
Yes.
myself, yes, 6 yes, 1 absent.
Seek a motion in a second from the board to approve resolution 11.3, authorization of agreement with Telematics.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve item 11.3.
Support.
Properly moved and second. Is there any discussions?
In fact, can you explain this, please?
Yes, so this is a document management software that we use to store, documents from the business office. We're looking how to expand that across the district so that we're able to maintain the documents virtually instead of having to have the paper ones. As we are planning for the future, and looking at how we can do that, so we'll continue to use this service.
So when you say you're looking for this in the future, we should expect something to come later.
So we will be looking at other options. The district has had a contract with Intellinetics for several years. I will be doing an analysis this year to make sure that this is the best cost and that it provides the service that we, especially moving to a new space, we're gonna need to make sure we have storage.
Sounds good.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Trustee Rutherford.
thank you. No more paper. This is going to help our audit tremendously.
Yeah.
And be able to track errors and discrepancies immediately.
Yes.
My heart is overjoyed that we're finally in the 21st century and that a touch of a button can provide us with whatever you need instead of a calculator. It's almost as if a ledger is being used. I don't know if anyone's familiar with a ledger. It gotta be at least 30 that's in, or 40 or 50, I don't know. But anyway, this is great. This helps my heart as it relates to audit time. I don't have to be cringing. So this is excellent. I mean, how long have you been here? Amazing. Thank you. Such a breath of fresh air.
Any more comments from the board? Well, I just want to thank you. You know, I've been adamant by calling you and saying, hey, we too outdated. I've been saying that for a while, and I'm glad to see things are moving, that we are moving more close to being updated with everyone, especially that ACH and checks. We're getting there. We're getting there. I found a few checks that I hadn't even cashed. So, and I'm glad that we can have a way how to track our finance. So I really appreciate that work that you're doing, board member. Seeing that there's any other question, comments, roll call. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Looney is absent, myself. Yes, 6 yes, 1 absent. Proceed, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion in a second from the board to approve resolution 11.4, authorization to renew the contract with Plante.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve 11.4.
Support.
Proper move and supported. Is there any discussions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
thank you, Brianna. That's all I have to say.
Madam Chair. Thank you, Brianna. She's amazing. Every time I call her, she's there. She's very efficient. She's very polite. And I think one day she was even on. and she returned my phone call, so I just wanted to say thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you. One day Bartek come in and give us a little update like they used to in the past. That information was kind of very important to the board. So hopefully we have that presentation done. Seeing no other further discussion.
But it's electronic.
That's not what I was asking for. Seeing no other further discussion, roll call. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Luna is absent, myself, 6 yes. Proceed, Mr. Jones.
I seek a motion in a second from the board to approve resolution 11.5, authorization of proposals AE 260564 and AE 260162 from Aproving.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve 11.5.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Could you explain to the public these proposal, please?
Okay, this, Arch Environmental has been helping with cleanup efforts at our former maintenance facility on Court Street. And that facility needed some environmental remediation and some underground storage cleanup. So Arch Environmental has been, they help with organizing the cleanup, making sure everything is removed and managed in a proper way. They handle all the reporting to the state on our behalf. Their hope is that we will have closure of this in the 26-27 school year. So the hope is that we will be able to close this out this spring. So they're working very closely with people on our behalf to make sure we meet all of the requirements and file all of the necessary reports.
Thank you. Any comments or discussion from the board? Seeing none, roll call to accept resolution 11.5. Treasurer Luna is absent. Trustee King?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Myself, yes, 6 yes, 1 absent.
Seek a motion in a second from the board to approve resolution 11.6, authorization of proposal AE 260003 from Aproving.
That's the same,
Same company.
yeah, same company.
Different.
So it's different.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Hold on one second. He says it's the same company, but,
Different, just a different.
okay, we'll be going to proceed, King.
I move to approve 11.3.
Support.
It's been properly moved in second. Could you tell us
I
the
mean,
difference
0.6.
between,
0.6.
yeah, it's been properly moved in second. Could you explain it, 11.6 to the public?
Yes, so, K-12 districts are required to have an asbestos management plan, and it needs to be reviewed and followed up on annually. So Arch Environmental provides that service for us. They go into our buildings, let us know if we have any areas of concern with asbestos, and they help, organize and, manage the field of that is necessary.
Madam Chair.
Trustee McIntyre and trustee, all right, thank you.
So don't, we have to have like reports in every building that's active, isn't that correct?
They do,
And so I remember that there was like some concern about that in the past couple of years with like water leakage or sewage, and making sure that we make sure that those reports are in there. So are they in charge of that?
Yes, and my understanding is that all reports, we also keep a copy of those reports at the administration building. So, but I can verify with them and get back to you, make sure that we don't have any.
Because that did happen at one point. We had something happen with files in a basement, something, and then a building didn't end up having the right report. So we do have a report in each building. We have reports in central office. And is Arch Environmental liable if the reports are not there? Because we're paying them to supervise this and make sure that we're compliant with this. So is that how that works?
So I'll answer the first part of the question.
Okay.
The first part of the question is we've always had them for the buildings that are open. The issue was, remember, we had.
concern, right? We didn't, yeah.
Gotcha. Now, the second part of that, I would have to consult Patron on that.
So what are we paying for?
It to see if they're liable. I'm not sure about, I don't have the answer to that today, but I'll get it.
My question was just if we're paying them to do this work and then what if they make a mistake? And, yeah, I just wondered.
So we are paying them to do the work and maintain our manuals for us. I would have to verify what the contract says explicitly to answer the liabilities of that.
Any more discussions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
That's made public to the that's made public for the public to come in any building and review it. I want to say that. And also those documents the law requires it to be in every building, so everyone knows that we had an incident over at Homes where some accusations were made and individuals just go and ask to see it because it has to be made available to anyone that asks to see it. So I think that's good to know in individuals. We're a public school, so it's a lot of things you have a right to know if you just ask. So I just want the public to know that. We can't hide anything from the public because we're using public doctors, so you have a right to know. So thank you for that. Any more discussion? Roll call to approve resolution 11.6. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Trustee Belknap is out, 6 yes, 1 absent. Proceed, Mr. Jones. 21.1, yeah. Thank you very much.
I seek a motion and second from the board to approve action item 21.1, new high school commissioning services award recommendation.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve item 21.1.
Support. It's been properly moved and second, there any discussion? Mr. Jones, for the public, could you speak on that?
That's the work that, they just presented
Okay.
earlier
Yeah.
today, but,
From Plant Moran.
yeah, if you wanted to.
No, you don't have to, I just, cause the public saw that information, and he just confirmed it here. Okay. Any discussion? Then no further discussion. Roll call to set action item 21.1. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King?
Yes.
And myself, 6 yes, 1 absent.
All right. Academics, ask Ms. Fields to come, for the next two, I'm gonna ask that Ms. Tasha come with you. This is for, Head Start.
And as you guys approach, kind of give the public a little information so they can understand what we're voting up and down against. Proceed.
Yes, ma'am. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve resolution 25.1, Head Start lease agreement with ISD for 26-27 for dual rider and Potter.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I move to approve item 25.1.
Support.
and properly move and support discussion. Yeah, I would like for you, to go ahead and speak on each one of these resolutions so that the public can hear what the board is voting up and down on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be before you here today, board, to discuss things that we have on the board packet for approval. And
I
I'll
think you
have-
need to speak into the microphone.
My bad. I'll go ahead and I'll introduce Ms. Latasha Wilson. She's our early childhood coordinator, and she'll be discussing with you about our early childhood agreements that are on the table for today.
Good evening. So each year we partner with Genesee Intermediate School District and they provide Head Start services for students in the city of Flint. And this goes along with our GSRP services that we also provide to the city students of Flint as well. So this allows us to have more robust programming in our district, providing more services to our early childhood population.
And these students matriculate into kindergarten.
Yes, sir.
From-
So what we do is we also work with each program, the Head Start program, GSRP, and we have a transition program that we utilize to help transition the students into our kindergarten population each year.
Any discussion or question from the board? Seeing no further discussion or questions, roll call to accept resolution 25.1. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King? Treasurer Luna? And myself, yes. 5 yes. 2 absent.
I seek a motion in a second from the board to approve resolution 25.2 Head Start lease agreements with the ISD 26-27 for Cummings and Summerfield. So it's the same approach.
It's the same approach,
Two
same.
different bills.
So we're seeking a second, a motion.
Support. Oh, I
Motion
moved
and
that.
Okay,
Support.
all right. Discussion. Seeing no discussion, roll call. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford?
Yes.
Trustee King? Treasurer Luna? And myself, yes. 5 yes, 2 absent.
Thank you,
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Ms. Wilson, appreciate it.
Good job, Ms. Wilson.
Okay, I seek a motion in a second from the board to approve resolution 25.3, approval of a CKH service agreement for the 26-27 school year, and we do have a guest, and you do have some information that was requested from the board. Mr. Hazard, from CKH.
If I could please have Mr. Hazard join me at the table. This is our representative from Capturing Kids Hearts. He's here to talk to you a little bit today about the, our Capturing Kids Hearts contract and about some of the impact that Capturing Kids Hearts has had across the district.
So before you do that, I saw a motion.
Mm-hmm.
So I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve 25.3 for Captain Kids Hearts service agreement for 26-27 school.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I move to approve item 25.3.
Support.
Then probably move in second. Is there any discussion? Oh, this is when you guys get to explain.
Okay. Again, I'm introducing Mr. Hazard to you tonight to talk to you a little bit about the impact of Capturing Kids Hearts. There's some additional information that I'll provide after he has discussed a little bit about the contract that we have with them and the partnership. You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, board. First of all, I'm a Michigander. I came up from Texas. I went through this training 32 years ago and it changed my life. I was command control. My last name's Hazard. I didn't have a problem with discipline, but it was all based on fear. And when I went through Capturing Kids Hearts, not only did it change my life as a teacher and a coach, but I think it's made me a great father. Capturing Kids Hearts, I heard all of you that we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. Capturing Kids Hearts is the relationship, it's the foundation. If we don't have the foundation, we don't have safety and trust, we don't have the journey. Capturing Kids Hearts is tier 1, tier 2, and even part tier 3. Every student that comes into Flint has a story. But until we create safety and trust, we'll never know that story. And if we don't know the story, how can we serve them academically? How can we serve them personally? And how can we serve them emotionally? It's amazing. We want all these things to do and all these kids to do great things, but if we're not modeling it as adults, it's not going to be transferred. You cannot transfer what you don't possess. And in a short period of time, the teachers are using this process now and the behaviors are changing in a great manner. Not only of that, but we have a training for parents. So not only do we want it for the culture of the schools, but we want to build the bridge to the community. We do what we know until we know better, we do better. To me, Capturing Kids Hearts, we work in LA Unified, Palmdale, and Anaheim High School District, 48 states, international. The bottom line is this: in leadership, my goal should be your success. My goal should be your success. Your goal should be their success. You are the president. Leadership is not about you, it's about serving. And when we truly serve, we empower, and when we empower, we create multipliers. That's what Capturing Kids' Hearts is all about. Flip said as a founder, we have to have a child's heart before their head. But if we don't have our own heart, how can we capture kids' hearts? I was just here, I'm watching behaviors. It's amazing we want kids to do great things, we have to do them. Mr. King, is that correct?
That's correct, I would.
100%. So capturing kids' hearts, not only does it help the teacher, but it helps the student to student, teacher to student, teacher to teacher, all the way to leadership. And what we say is no organization can rise above the concerns of leadership. If you look at the schools that are doing great, the leadership is not there. If you look at a couple schools that are struggling a little bit, leadership needs to step it up a little bit. But if you look at the big picture, it's come a long ways, got unbelievable data. I guess in my heart, I was one of those kids. My father left when I was 10. My mom was an alcoholic. I didn't have parents after 10. And one coach saved my life. Every one of the kids in Flint needs hope. And if they have hope, they can do anything. That's what Capturing Kids' Hearts does. It takes academics up, it takes attendance up, it takes referrals down. I hear about retaining teachers. That's a big part of it as well. So if you put that all together, if they have a safe place and they love the culture, they don't leave.
If I could, with the number of impact and resources that was utilized for Capturing Kids' Hearts this year, in our Capturing Kids' Hearts premium package, we had a high level usage of 17,377 views that were utilized by our teachers and our staff. We had 3,615 logins, and 706 of those are active users that are actively utilizing Capturing Kids' Hearts strategies and practices across the district. Campus leaders, they were included in 69 cohort huddles where they were receiving coaching to support social emotional learning strategies through the Capturing Kids' Hearts platform. In addition to that, we have surveys that also show positivity around Capturing Kids' Hearts strategies from staff, students, and from teachers and families alike. In addition to that, originally we had submitted for a presentation for this evening, and I'm just providing the high level points from that presentation to be able to share with you all.
What did you say? I missed that.
I said there was a presentation that was to accompany this conversation tonight, and I know that there was some rearrangement with our agenda that has put the presentation off for us to be able to discuss. Yeah.
Trustee Knight, I have questions for the campus.
Okay.
So you keep talking about data. Where is it?
In the presentation that was provided for this week, the data is accompanying that presentation.
Again and again, I don't want stuff shown to me, presented. I want to see it. I want to see the data. And you talk about qualitative analysis, about surveys. I want to see the surveys. Because you can talk about touch points, you can talk about people logging onto a program. If you're required to do it, if you're required to log onto the program, then what does that mean? What actually are you measuring? You're just measuring login attempts. I'm asking you, what is the connection between the programs, what the program does, and what the outcomes are? So for example, we have an increase this year in the amount of teachers that we're hiring. What makes this year different than other years, and how is that related to you talk about how Capturing Kids' Hearts helps with teacher retention and getting teachers to stay here. So why is it more this year, and how long has Capturing Kids' Hearts been here?
Third year.
Third year. Okay, what about the other 2? I mean, so what is the correlation between, I need to see the data. The data is not adding up. If
One second, please. I haven't read for information about information as purposeful. I know what it is. I'm just having that information.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Let's see, hold on 1 second, let's see, hold on 1 second. Board members, because this may go to another total direction. I want you to go to page 247, and this is this is the presentation. 247 over there with your check register.
Third is this section.
And I'm gonna get to your point of order and point of information. I just want to make sure that my board is on the same page. Now, what's your point of order?
No, yeah, so my point of information was gonna do the same thing you just did, so thank you for doing.
So there's data and there's data. Like, this isn't good enough for me. Like, you say 99% of students say that teachers I mean, I wanna see
The survey results, trustee, McIntyre, the survey results are highlighted in that particular package with the outcomes from the survey results from students, from teachers, from families, and from staff. In addition to that, there additional information that was shared with you, around suspensions and around referrals. Where referrals did increase over this past year, there were a drop in our suspendable days that were calculated throughout the district. And so even though referrals are up, that means that there are opportunities where interventions are taken and then suspendable days are down.
I understand that, but you've got more than two variables. You've got more than just capturing kids' hearts, suspension up or down. So where is the data to show the direct correlation between the services provided between capturing kids' hearts?
In addition to the fact that we've had suspensions that have been reduced, we have 5 buildings that have been recognized as National Showcase schools where they are supporting efforts, and you can see correlation between those buildings that have been identified as National Showcase schools have also had increases in their achievement through academics, but not just academics, but also attendance improvement in chronic absenteeism by reducing that. And in addition to that would be the reduction of some behaviors, not all behaviors, but some behaviors.
Okay, and how can you say that it's because of that and not other intervening variables?
I would say that there's correlating data for surveys that teachers and students and families alike are in agreement that there is a positive affect for capturing kids' hearts and that they are receiving it in a way that they can see the evidence of it through the practice and strategies of capturing kids' hearts throughout the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, I also might add that, I also might add that, you know, when I go out and work with the community, it's not just the superintendent that makes the difference. Sometimes I take Trustee Perkins. So I can't say all the time that one thing that we do supports the entire look of the outcome. And so even with math, the curriculum we have is not the only thing. It's how it's taught. It's the other pieces that go along with it, as far as if teachers use interventions, paraprofessional. So this is, you know, dealing with behavior. It's more than one thing that's going to support behavior, but this is one of the things that brings it together and helps us do the work of behavior in the schools.
It's proactive rather than reactive. It's great that we have restorative practices and so on. I always like to say, be proactive. If I have the kid's heart, they're not gonna I don't have to go that way. I speak to prisoners every year in Muskegon. I promise you, after every time I speak, they say, I wish I had a teacher or coach that connected me with that way, and I wouldn't be here. So all the things that are saying in the survey, it speaks for itself, and I'll have Brad Clark, who's over all of our surveys, I'll have him contact you and he'll hold all the information. And he's a lot brighter on the statistics than I am, but I promise you, I'll have him follow up with you and kind of.
Because that's what I've asked for, right? I mean, a lot. The other, not just a cursory sort of gloss on.
If I could also offer, Trustee McIntyre, There's it's a framework of continuity of which we are able to be able to see, and we have look fors in the classroom. So social contracts are posted. There's continuity around the questions that are part of Capturing Kids framework that help us to provide an expectation around how we speak to kids, how we interact with children. And because of that continuity, I think that provides the supports that are necessary, and also to cut through bias that sometimes exist in the classroom with new teachers that we might have coming into the district, and being able to provide for them what the expectation of communication can look like. And where I wish that we could be able to go ahead and pinpoint exactly the impact of everything that we do throughout the district, I do know that Capturing Kids' Hearts has served people well in the fact that it gives them something to hold on to. It provides them resources, and it gives us the opportunity for kids to be celebrated through leadership and through themes that are celebrated throughout the year. And I also appreciate your conversation around the necessary data that's something that you desire to make sure that you have in front of you, and our ability to be able to provide extra data to support your inquiry as well.
Yes, someone, you don't want to have any.
Yes, go ahead.
We just have decreasing enrollment, decreasing test scores, increased chronic absenteeism, and how is continuing to use Capturing Kids' Hearts going to help us change that or turn that around? Because I don't want to see those numbers going down. And again, I understand that there are intervening variables and there are other, like, it's not just a one-to-one correlation, I get that. But how can we ensure that this is going to be helpful to the district and not just something that's an added cumbersome process for teachers or
in education, I've been around this for a long time. You said 30 years. It's a calling. But I also believe this, a lot of times in education, you do random acts of change. You start something, then you stop. You start something, and you stop. You start something, and you stop, and you never finish it. We've had 3 years to take the ship and start turning it around. And we're starting to see those changes. I don't want to give up on something that we're going in the right direction. The stats and what they're saying, the teachers are saying, what the kids are saying, and even what the parents are saying, is that we're going in the right direction. You're changing adult behavior to change student behavior. I just wish I would invite you to go to a Capturing Kids' Hearts training. I would love to have you in one, because I think if you saw it, you'd see how it connects. But to me, when we say kids have a story, and we don't have that relationship and have that ability to de-escalate, you see a lot of kids get booed out of the class and then they get expelled and so on. What I found was that Capturing Kids' Hearts and the social contract and the 4 questions, kids wanted to be with me, not away from me. And when I was command control, I promise you, kids talked about me, good or bad. And to me, when I was at command control, they didn't want to be around me. I just got back from Cancun 2 weeks ago because I had a young lady in my team leadership class, which is lead worthy. And she wrote in her journal that she was going to commit suicide. She's 44 now. I had her when she was 15. She said, "Coach, you saved my life because you were the only one that took the time to find out what I was doing and what was going on." That's what Capturing Kids' Hearts is about. Is that not just myself, but every teacher has an unbelievable opportunity to connect with kids. Maybe even the janitor, maybe the secretary. But if we're using that process and the same terminology all the way through, it is proven and it goes all the way through. And I can give you a whole bunch of data from other districts that are doing amazing things for 10 years. Oops, sorry. So I can give you that and I'll have Brad follow up with you. But I promise you, you're going in the right direction. You just started it. Don't give up on it.
Trustee, yeah, thank you, Mr. Haddock, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, to my colleagues, I've been able to see when I walk into a classroom, every year I go to read into the school building or when I go into the school building just to visit. The most recent when I was in Brownell and I came to the classroom, first thing first, hey, let me take you to a social contract. Let me take you here. Kids knew it. There was another classroom I went into. One of our scholars was having a challenge, and that scholar, he was not following the social contract, and the team, as in the kid, said, "Hey, that's not a part." And as they took me to social contract, signed, and we fist pumped, and we kept going. I think, as it pertains to this, I'll be supporting this because I see it in the work. I see it in the staff where we've had multiple showcase schools, seeing where the excitement around when a person come inside the classroom, that's like a student ambassador for me, for an example, in this leadership. Or they may be scared to say, what I want to do. But they say, let me take you to the social contract and let's sign, let's talk about it. And they're able to explain to what that looks like. One thing, when I encourage my admin team is how do we showcase some of these things? Is whether it's one person going to take you to it, or just one of us going in, like how do we showcase what this actually looks like? Because sometimes, from our perspective, right, there's another thing. We're not in the classroom every day. I'm not, some of my colleagues have teaching experience. They've been in the classroom, I'm a substitute teacher, but we're not in the classroom every day. We see paperwork, we see numbers, we see budgets, we see test scores, and we see like, hey, what's going on? But then when I was able to visit to schools and see how this is implemented and how this is helping with climate, with the culture of the building, I like to see it. It really is eye-opening to me. But I just want you to have that perspective as well. So we may be asking for data because that's what we're used to seeing. And more so, I would encourage as we present more, further as you reference the materials that you have, and making sure that the team, the board is right on unison as you reference it, and keeping it towards kid stories.
Yes, sir.
That Flint Community School kid stories.
Yes,
good experience that you have across 100%. I can see it in your passion.
Yes, sir.
For us, our focus is straight Flint kids.
Yes, sir.
Like what kind of Flint story, what kind of stories Flint kids were able to provide here and showcase that to us. I think that's amazing. But I've seen your work go forward, and I'm excited for what we're doing in the district. Like you said, they're running 3 years in. Excited to see how it goes, but I would encourage the team. How do we showcase that a little bit more? Videos and showing, hey, this is what's happening as we go in the classroom. Because sometimes it's a different perspective from where we sit. When we're not in the classroom every day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback.
Madam Chair. What's your name, sir? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Vern Hazard.
Mr. Hazard, how are you, sir?
How are you?
Good. I was one of the board members that said I've never seen anyone from Capture Kids Heart. I guess I'm a little confused because Capture Kids Hearts was here in 2017 when I was at Freeman. So has it flipped ownership? Have someone took over?
Yeah.
So Capture Kids Heart has only been in District 3 years?
You started it and it stopped.
When did it stop?
I'm not sure. I don't have that.
Yeah, somebody, because I'm not a.
Yeah.
So it's not in the district now?
It's in the district now. It started 3 years ago.
It started 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, help me with my math, was 2023?
Yes,
And before, I thought it came up for renewal.
So,
Help me out. Okay.
Trustee Relaford, you're absolutely correct. There
Okay.
was a small break during the COVID time.
Okay.
That we broke contract, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But prior to that, we were utilizing Capturing Kids Hearts. We've been utilizing Capturing Kids Hearts for approximately, I think, 9 to 10 years is from the total that we've been in some type of partnership with them. Even if there were lapses in those practices and continuity and professional development, that was the only thing that was broken.
Thank you for that. Cause I was gonna have a come apart. The kids, they're about to crash out. But I think for me, Flint schools students are so unique, and you can't get to everyone their hearts every day. And I guess my concerns with Capturing Kids' Hearts, it was if we had students that didn't have barriers, that didn't have trauma, that didn't have isolation issues, health concerns,
learning delays, just the list goes on and on. I can see where capturing kids' heart would be relevant. Or, well, no, I'm not going to say relevant because it is relevant, but necessary. But our students need hands on. They need something where you have to have a person with cultural competency that has the ability to look at a student and know exactly what a student wants. When I grew up, my teachers knew that. But that's something you just have. That's not something you're taught. Teachers learn their students become their family. But we've had such a high turnover with our teachers, you can never develop a relationship. Or we're so scarce on certified teachers that teachers are moved around. So being able to develop a relationship where you may have the training of capturing kids' heart, but now you have different kids. So how are we able to maintain the continuity and the ability of what capturing kids' heart stands for to get our students where they need to be? Because our students, they're still failing. And in social contract, a lot of our students can't read. Let's just be totally honest. So put a social contract in front of them, they don't know what that is.
So they process that.
Well, you have a select few, but I believe if we had, because of the behavior, you guys, we can't get around that. To say to a student that's furious, I need you to read the social contract, these students would probably say something you never heard before.
So it's the process is that I'm greeting them at the door every day. So that's the first step. That's the first, we call that be engaged.
I understand
And
that.
then I'm exploring their needs. I'm filtering that behavior coming into my classroom.
Okay.
And then the communicate is my teaching. I better be passionate about what I do. And
Well,
then I empower them and I launch them.
I hear you, sir, but I have to just say that that's not practical right here in Flint Community Schools because of the teachers. We have such a dynamic need. You may have a child that's been up all night that will not talk. But if you know that child needs are a lot more than the normal district, if I can say that. And I guess for me, my concerns is we're not meeting our students where they are with capturing kids' heart. That's basically.
I'm listening and I would love to see a session, because this is, having been through a lot of trainings like this, at least you guys know what a Likert scale as opposed to NASB, which doesn't. The trainings seem like they're very expensive for like a, 2 4-hour trainings for $23,500. Plus additional expenses, plus travel and accommodation and then extra fees and all that. I love your commitment and your passion, and I'm not discrediting that at all. And I too had teachers, coaches, very special people in my life who, got me through it. So I understand that. But I can tell you, as an autistic person, to have teachers being trained to stand in the doorway saying specific things as each kid comes in, if it's not for real, it has to be sincere, but how are you gonna train that? How are you gonna disseminate that? How are you gonna make sure that this happens in 2 4-hour training sessions? My point is that it's like, these are good intentions, but there's a disconnect for me between the theory and the practice. Like, you haven't established a connection between all these wonderful things that you're talking about and what actually gets done in the classroom. Because for my little, socialist, non-hierarchical heart, what helps capture kids' hearts is making sure that they have a safe place where they can stay, that they're fed, that they have steady consistency in their communities. It's noble that we try to replicate this by greetings. Social contracts are like a 17th century construction that is mired in colonialism, so I'm not even sure I'm up for that, but I'm not seeing it. So I would love to see a deeper dive, but
I don't know.
I wanna, when you look at our strategic plan, we have 5 priorities: scholar focus, teaching and learning, culture and climate, staffing, finance. Scholar focus, the district aims to support the whole child from early development through to career readiness. Culture and climate. The goal is to build and promote a culture of excellence that fosters a positive environment for learning. We live in the city of Flint. We know our kids are challenged in some ways, but I also don't let that challenge define their potential and where they can go. Well, when I think about this in a holistic approach here, the have a strategic plan with our priorities. Administration follows the strategic plan, bring things that's supposed to guide us to the strategic plan and reach our goals. Administration is requesting that we use capturing kids' hearts, and from my perspective, it really targets 1 and 3 of the strategic plan. And then for us to sit up here, I'm gonna be honest, for us to say, hey, this is not working, and we're not the ones seeing the benefit from per kid, I find it hard because it's something around when you don't know it. It's like someone trying to tell a teacher how to teach they never taught before. And if the teachers are asking for this, or this is working in kids, I think about you take this away. Yes, social contracts could have been around forever, but seeing kids thrive in this way, if this can be the only thing that they have when they go to school, is capturing kids' heart, not just about a social contract, how a teacher treats a student. Yes, there are students that are different. Yes, there are some that have different challenges. But what I see for capturing kids' hearts is what the staff have been able to do is get training. When you think about when a teacher comes into the building, a teacher from somewhere else that doesn't understand Flint demographics, they come in, hey, you get capturing kids' hearts training, you understand, hey, how we treat our kids. This is how we do things. But when also I think about the absent piece and we don't have these things in place that speaks to culture and climate, what will we get then? Like, what will we get? I find it hard, it's challenging for us to pick apart something that we're not in the classroom day to day and seeing the benefit of it. It's easy for us to sit here and say there's no benefit, I don't see it, or pick and say, well, there's no correlation to something, which I get. I think there can be a better presentation in seeing how all this plays a part. But for us to sit up here and really, in my opinion, for lack of a better word, tear this apart in a way that's saying it's not working in the classroom. And when teachers come consistently to say, you listen to me, hey, this ain't the work. I mean, this is it. And then for us, I would be voting yes, or I hope my colleagues vote yes to it. But for us to take something away from this regard for training, hey, how do our teachers treat our kids? This is proper training, in my opinion. We all have been through several trainings. We can nitpick all kind of trainings and say this is good or not. But inevitably, what I've seen is change inside because I go into the building. When I went into a classroom, the couple classrooms I've been in, that's been the thing. I'm passionate about it because I have a challenge when we're not inside the work and we're able to say it's not working in a way that we don't see where kids are using this. Yes, sir. Again, I agree. Hey, our kids have challenges, but just because we have challenges doesn't mean the potential is gone. And this right here, this framework, this structure that provides it for our team, this helps. That's just my opinion. I'm done talking about it. I've made my comments to it, but guys, y'all nitpick this thing forever.
Okay, thank you.
May I say one more thing?
Let them speak. My colleague says that we get paid. My colleague says we don't fit in the classroom. This board has an obligation to dig deeper. When I listen to teachers, it's not working too much for them in some cases. It works really well in your smaller schools. I think the last report we had 8,000 something behavior, 3,000 something in school suspension. And we keep doing the same old thing over and over again, not looking at models that address each of this district needs. And I'm concerned. I've been in classrooms, been in administration probably more than anybody on this board, and understand that damage. What is Trustee Relevant said, the water crisis, the pandemic. We have a serious issue with behavior, and it's not changing the data, not changing the behavior. It works for some kids and some teachers, but it's not working for where it's needed. When a child go into ninth grade, that's when all of that goes out of the window. When they're in that ninth grade, it goes out of the window. It's not nitpicking. It's being more conscious. What are we gonna do? Well, they said, well, I'd rather you do this than leave us with nothing. We're not gonna leave you with nothing because that's what we pay you for. You're gonna come up with something. The board would bring something to you that deals better, that do what has been asked of us. They've been asked of this board. Help me. Can't walk into a school. Help me. What are y'all gonna do about behavior? Help me. How can we get parents? How can I capture parents' heart? You said in your data that you talk about parents, but in reality, we don't have that here. This is a good program. One time when I first was working with, but it worked well when I was with the kindergarten, first and second and third grade. But as I moved up the level, it didn't benefit. I'm not saying, I'm not supporting this right now in my thoughts, because I'm looking for more. This board should be looking for more. We have an obligation. Teachers are not professional babysitters. We done turned their career into 35 to 40 minutes doing things that should have been taught somewhere else. We have to allow our teachers the ability to show that they can teach. Am I understanding they're changing the KPI MDE? Am I correct? If they changing the, something in MDE, no matter what we do, we don't get a hold to this behavior. And give these teachers a break. It's their turn. Let's capture the parents and the teacher heart now. Then maybe this program can work all the way through. But to say that your colleagues is nitpicking because you don't have that maturity and understanding that we have is kind of insulting. We're not talking about what we say all the time. We're talking about right now. But saying all that to say, the motion on the floor.
Say something.
Oh, sure, proceed.
I really believe this ignored behavior becomes accepted behavior. And the lowest behavior accepted becomes your culture. You're saying your culture is this way, and you're taking what's working and throwing it away. It's not nitpicking. I understand you want data and this and that, but Flint kids deserve the best. Of all people, your kids in Flint need this. And what breaks my heart is you don't see it. You just said you have to capture the teachers' hearts. That's what you're doing. If they don't have their heart, they can't capture kids' hearts. All the things that you want, you won't get there because of that. I just wish you could see it. We have a board training. I wish you could experience it. Because I promise you, and I'm just going to be honest, I sat there the whole time and people are giving different facial expressions for people that didn't agree with them. And you want kids to do good things? And you're doing this to one another?
Hey, point of order, Madam Chair. My point of order is our presenter is passionate, but is approaching beratement. I would encourage we channel our passion and put it somewhere else. But as we're still a respected body, still works this way.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tariq King. And this is a passion for anyone to sit and say we are not passionate about Flint kids. Put one of yours in the grave, then you talk to me. We are here because of Flint kids. We are here because I listen to parents. Everybody don't agree. I listen to teachers. Some like it, some don't. As a board, my constituents, my parents and my teachers and my own observation. Certain thing was good for a period of time, but we need something different in order to save Flint community. And don't get me started, we can capture on a lot of things. They got $600-some million downtown that really could capture their heart and really help with behavior, but we're not there. So seeing that we don't have enough discussion on that, it's going to be very sensitive. I would like to move to a roll call vote. Roll call vote. To approve a resolution 25.3, approve of Captain Kids Heart service agreement for 2026 to 2027, will conducted by roll call vote. Secretary Perkins. No. Trustee Booth.
No.
President McIntyre. We're voted to go up or down. Trustee Rutherford.
No.
Trustee King.
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre.
No.
And myself. No, you got 5 no's, 1 yes. Motion fails. Thank you for your presentation. Did we do this?
I have one more.
Okay. Thank you.
I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve resolution 25.4, authorization to purchase Education Week for school districts teacher professional development package.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I move to approve item 25.4.
Support.
it's been a proper move and second. Could you enlighten us on that, Ms. Fields?
Absolutely. The proposal is to provide autonomous professional learning that complements teachers with PD and traditional PD. There's self-modulation learning with it. It's included success stories that are rooted in daily content updates, provides the opportunity for versatile learning formats for our teachers. It's a curated resource that allows user-friendly access, and it really focuses on best practices for teachers. It's supporting them by keeping them in up-to-date things in the educational realm, data issues on district issues, focusing on anything from STEM, math, literacy. So it really has the whole gamut of resources that we can provide for teachers in professional development and learning. And then I guess, honestly, it archives some things that can keep data relevant as it pertains to things in the classroom and things to help teachers in resolving their classroom practices, highlighting high yield strategies and best practices.
Great. Are there any discussion? Seeing no, proceed. Trustee McIntyre.
So how long have we had this, or is this a new addition?
I'd have to check into how long we've been utilizing it for, but I know it's been for a couple of years, and it's coupled with the professional development and the creation of teachers utilizing it for the purpose of not just resources, but have applicable strategies that teachers, so new teachers, uncertified teachers, there's things in there that are useful for them to be able to help with practices as far as
gaps that they may have, in their instructional leanings.
So is this also called Ed Week?
Yes, that would be appropriate.
So Education Week is Ed Week.
Yes.
And $11,000 is for a district-wide license for all teachers in the district to access that.
Unlimited usage and to be able to utilize it, to its fullest extent. There's no capitation on like how many, or caps on how many things that they can use or how many views or whatever. They have access to the full platform and any of the resources that are available within the platform.
So are you aware that there's advertising within this?
In the version that we have,
Ed Week?
I don't
Like we
believe.
get targeted emails if you're part of this subscription?
So if you're subscribing, I believe that those advertisements don't occur on the platform, but I'd have to check it.
I mean, you get updates about here's this article or here's this new topic, including here's from our third party, something or other, you know.
There's updates to relevant educational issues, yes.
Like insurance, home insurance, car insurance, stuff like that.
I would have to check in
That's
further
selling
to see.
a secondary product.
I'm not aware of anything that's selling products to our teachers. I'm aware of
In Ed Week,
a
it is.
platform.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Ed Week, having used it myself. I think it's a bunch of superfluous information that is readily available to anyone who has critical thinking skills and a discerning mind. I don't understand why. We need to have an audit of all these programs and all these subscriptions that we have. And I just happen to know from personal experience about this, and I'm not a big fan. So again, show me the data that shows that it's actually helping teachers be successful, because we're just decreasing in enrollment and test scores and all this. I just see a downward trend and nothing going up. So show me that this is actually adding value and not just either, you know, taking away value or being neutral.
Without us having this platform, and I do believe that there's, and I could be wrong, but there's 2 subscriptions with free trials. I know that there is some type of advertisement that's attached to it. For our platform, there's, not to my knowledge, there's nothing that's being sold or propagated on the actual platform. There's a possibility there could be subscription newsletters that people could subscribe to that would then come that way. The second thing that I would offer is that we have at least 1/4 of our teachers where they're still uncertified teachers. This platform provides resources for our uncertified folks that can help to supplement in the event of them needing extra support in their instructional delivery, and the opportunity for them to access self-modulated learning that is allowed to be tailored to their time.
Services.
Yeah. Okay, I would like to speak on it. As a guest teacher, it was very resourceful to us, because the guest teacher don't have everything the certified teacher has. And so sometimes we have to, look at things in a different perspective. I have used it, and sometimes your guest teacher needed way more support than a certified teacher. And one thing the certified teacher does, she does help that guest teacher. And this is a tool that can be very helpful if we use it right. I will be supporting this. I don't want to be all night in this discussion. Anyone else have any discussion? Roll call to approve resolution 25.4, conducted by roll call vote. Secretary Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Booth?
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre?
No.
Trustee Rutherford?
No.
Trustee King?
Yes.
Treasurer Dolan is absent, and myself is a yes. We got 4 yes, 2 no, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could we please have any board member have any comments on remarks, short remarks or comments before we adjourn?
Oh, yes, Madam President. Good to go?
Oh, yes, sure.
All right, awesome. A couple of things from board comments. It was good that we were able to honor the Napoleon LaVoy family yesterday with and present them with the original plaque that was the commemorative plaque that was presented to them when they first built the building. Well, when they named the building after him. That was a good thing. Thank you, Superintendent Jones and team, for bringing their family and having that good moment for the community. Next piece here, a couple of things I want to make sure I express is when we talk about selling a property, to hear a property being sold or potentially being sold for $1, when we've had multiple people come and request that we give them properties for $1, and we didn't accept those offers or those bids that they put in place because of, hey, it was too low. But if my colleagues shifted ideas or shifted their preference, that we can allow someone to come and say, hey, I want this building for $1. If that's going to be the standard we set, I think we should probably talk about that because as it pertains to Longfellow, the organization, if I'm not mistaken, presented $100,000, and to hear Mr. Jamerson come and say, well, he had a budget for a building acquisition and we're going to give it to him for $1. I mean, if he went to GHS, if he went to if the institution went to other places, they wouldn't probably receive a building for $1. So I think we should just be fair. I get relationships. I don't want to minimize the contributions of the organization. They have tremendously supported Flint community schools, but also, we have a fiduciary and a stewardship responsibility that just because, someone helped and supported us doesn't mean you automatically get something from us in that regard. So I think, we should probably talk through that if you want to, but I just disagree with that notion. To the other piece of that, I think today was a rough day. It was a good discussion that we had. It was challenging. I was just, as we prepare for our NSBA training and workshops, I look forward to as we create handbooks and create how operating procedures, how we interact with one another. I think that'll be important as we move forward. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll be very brief. The capturing kids hard. It's interesting how the truth come out when a person doesn't get their way. And individual, I just say, watch how a person act when they hear the word no. And that's that real person. For me, as a board member, I was voted to take care of this district, and these kids are our future. These kindergartners that are just babies now, they're going to grow up and they're going to be leaders. We have to put things in place that's going to be progressive for this district. And sometimes the answer is no. Word salads are amazing, but when you don't see the results after 10 years, it comes a time where you have to trim the fat. And sometimes you got to start over. But when you have a teacher that's afraid of the student, that throws that out the way. But now as it relates to us as board members, we all agree, as it relates to our property, that we will be very responsible. And to hear, that was my first time hearing a piece of property that belongs to Flint School, as long as I've been on the board. It's the first time I ever heard someone come before the board prepared to present to get a building for $1. We have to make sure that we're not drinking the Kool-Aid. Just like we're leasing buildings to GISD to support the community, we can lease that building to support the community. Everything isn't always, when I hear a playground is a playground. That's not going to sustain this district. It's as if we get caught up. They gave us this with lights, cameras, action. Let's get beyond the lights, cameras, action, and see
how our kids are going to survive. What are we putting out in this world? And as a board, the onus is on us to put things in place and have Superintendent Jones and his team take care of it, make it happen. But we're getting sidetracked with things that should not even be a part of our conversation. So I just ask my colleagues to just think, please think outside of your norm. Will this matter tomorrow? And if your answer is yes, then you need to think about it. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak before I speak? Thank you.
So I'm not blinded by the lights and the fanfare and the cameras. I'm laser focused. And I want to make clear that this partnering, I don't want to call it a partnership agreement because that's something different and that's something specific. But this partnering that we have with the Flint Center for Excellence, with the Mott Foundation, with Communities First, with the Community Foundation, we've got a lot of varied history with these institutions and these organizations. It's been fraught with tension and inequity for a long time. It's a work in progress, and we've been very intentional about partnering. You know, as I've said many times, we're no longer allowing them to be the colonial overseers. We are partners. And with Dr. Jamerson, who came forward, if you're not at the meetings or not paying attention to the documents that are being presented, you know, like, you can't force you to read or pay attention to the pertinent or salient details. But this is something that has been in the works for a long time. This renegotiation of the master plan from 2013 in all of its iteration, the old MOU from 2017, these are things that have been in the community. And if you've been paying attention and if you've been active in actually being part of the community school foundational system, looking at the 100 years back when it was started by the Mott Foundation, right? We've gone from 100 years, 1926 to where we are now. And it's not perfect. And I get that the optics of saying, hey, you can have a building for $1 harkens back to when we gave away, you know, a bunch of buildings with the city of Flint. So that's not a good look. Yes, Sarvis was 75,000, but the point is that we are, and as I stated in the meeting, this is a necessary partnership with the way that things are now. I appreciate the Flint Center for Educational Excellence. Like I said, they used to be the CRIM and Youth Quest. We had criticisms, they transformed, they tried to be more community, responsive to the community. The money that was secured, there's a new way of funding grants. There's a new system of philanthropic organizations, nonprofit organizations, private organizations collaborating with the government in terms of securing grants. We went through this with Communities First. They had to have site ownership. Yes, it would be, again, ideological to have us be the ones leasing things, but that's not the reality of the situation. The reality of the grant and grantee situation right now in this cultural climate is such that we have to look on a case-by-case basis. And in this instance, with the Center for Educational Excellence, with the DTM side property, it's not the DTM property, they're able to leverage their resources and their power and their influence as a team, as a partner, just like we did with the Republicans and the Democrats in order to get the budget for the demolition. Sometimes, you know, you have to come together in the interest of what's best for the community and the kids, even if you don't like all of the contract. Yeah, it would be great to have that building and lease it to the Center for Educational Excellence, but that's not the reality, because we wouldn't get the millions of dollars. And I would rather to see that abandoned building be developed into something positive for the community and have the 2.4 million or 2.5 million put into the building for the students, which is including a splash pad, which the community asked for and is very excited about, to create a more inclusive campus like the Cube, that involves the community. This isn't setting a precedent for giving away property for $1. This is setting a precedent for an organization that has systemic longevity, that has done the work, that has done the research, that has done all of the work, and has raised the funds and is getting donations in kind, is matching. We're able to get more. We're able to get more resources with this kind of an arrangement than just having a fixed, narrow focus on ways that are obsolete and that no longer work. So that's what I wanted to say. This isn't setting a precedent for giving away property. We are being consistent in our approach to how we're stewards of our community and our resources. And if you don't think otherwise, it's because you're not paying attention or you don't know how to look at the fine details of a situation.
Well, thank you very much. $1 is just a gift to that community over there. Look what they're getting for a gift of $1. Look what they're getting. And we still have over 600 acres of land. We still stuck with 28 buildings. We walked and went to Washington, Lansing. Got 8.5 to tear down 4 schools. What do the public want? What do people want? When we came on board, we had this stuff all planted. We had votes for the board. Only the board can determine whether we can't give it away for nothing, but we can get the votes to do $1. We're talking about investing back into the Flint. Flint deserves better. This thing about a child doesn't need a playground. Why can't we have both worlds? My zip code doesn't determine whether I have a decent playground. My zip code don't determine whether I have a nice school. Why we got to belittle ourselves? $1 to a community. And look what he's going to do for their community. We got to get rid of that mentality. If I don't have nothing, you're not going to have it. This board has not turned down anybody. I put together a committee to try to help me get rid of this property and help me work with people. We have a couple of people came to the board that Troon is working with. We haven't turned anybody down. We haven't turned anybody down. But everything in decent order. 600 acres of land that the taxpayer, my tax dollars paid for. It belongs to the community. And giving that school a piece of the property, you should go and I went and I walked through it. And look what it's going to do to that area. We are building each other up. If it costs me $1 to build a community up, then we're going to build it. I believe that we can get the 5 votes for this here, and let's move forward. On that note, the announcement is the board will hold its next regular board meeting August 19th at 6:30 here at the Cube. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. Hey,
Yes, ma'am.